second. And it's like, where's like, did you send me the Excel sheet?
I'm in the middle of it, so
Okay.
yeah, should be there now.
Should we download it as well?
No. What?
You can if you want to. It's just an example we usually use.
Just to try to convince you about databases. Like, and show what more or less what things look like. Yes.
Working?
Yep.
Alright.
Okay. Has anyone heard about MySQL or SQL in general? SQL? Databases?
We have heard
No.
about that.
No? Okay, so like, we have this example because at some point we saw a Node.js homework that involves cars. And like you were dealing with cars in your application, and cars has colors, and people would buy cars. And like this databases would allow you to store that all that information on the back end of your application. So otherwise, like I guess you would have files, or worse even is it would be a hard code as maybe into the code, which no, please don't do that. So yeah, the typical thing to do is to have a database behind your application to store all the data that you'll need. And so in this case, there's we have cars, and we have the model of the car, so Tesla Model S, Ford Focus, Volkswagen Golf, Volvo.
But this is look like the Excel, yes?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're starting by showing like in an Excel.
This
Yes.
is Excel.
Yeah, this is Excel, but that's not Excel that will be.
No,
right.
no, not LibreCalc. LibreCalc.
It's the same thing.
It's some kind of spreadsheet. Let's just say.
Then you have the year when they were bought and the name of the person who bought them. Fleming has a Volkswagen Golf.
Yeah.
How is that?
Apparently, I couldn't afford a Tesla. So
Yeah, they're expensive. And then we have the buyer email, and apparently also have some formatting issues in there. And then like you also have, so in here you have like all the information about the car. Just settle for 1 minute. About the car and the buyer. So you have like both, like you also have IDs, which you'll see that is basically just to distinguish one entry in the database from another. So like each row would be an entry, and then each column will be a field in the table. So this whole thing is a table, rows are entries, and fields are the columns. And yeah, so we have like the model of the car and the year of the car, and then you have the buyer and the buyer email, and everything is in the same table, in the same spreadsheet. But I mean, then you have duplicated information, which you'll soon find out it's not a good idea either. Like you have Donald Duck who got 2 cars, and you start the same email twice, and then if you want to change the email, you have to change it twice as well. So another way to do this would be to have a slightly different table where you'd have just the cars information, where you have like the model and you have the year for the car, and then you have the buyer ID, and this buyer ID would be coming from a different table. Like, and you see that Donald Duck has 2 cars, the first 2 cars, and there's like the buyer ID twice there. And then you have the buyers table where you actually have the buyer information. So you have Donald Duck and Fleming, only once each, and the email is stored for each. And you don't store the email for Donald Duck twice in this case. You only associate a car with the buyer through these ID fields, and that's it. It also solves a bit the problem that I don't know, if someone decides to buy a car half-half, and so a car would have two owners, you'd have to like, in the first case at least. So let's imagine this Volvo actually has two owners. Fleming and Donald Duck decided to buy it together. So it'd be like doing something like this. I know it's even more weird. Probably something like this. So it's like, and then the email would also have two entries. And then when you guys in your app are looking for stuff, it's just a mess. Because you don't really know if you are going to get two values in one column and row, or if you are going to get just one. So it's like you have to have some conditional clauses testing, like how many values are actually in a given cell. And that's a bit annoying, I guess.
Yeah, and in the second example, the column we use to store the buyer IDs, it's what's known as a foreign key, and it's a way to specify a relation between tables. So that's what we talk about when we say it's a relational database. So MySQL is a relational database.
Yeah, you have the tables, and then tables are related to each other somehow, which is usually the foreign key there.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a bit complex, and it will be like for instance, the thing of having one car with two owners, we'll get there next week, not even today. So don't get scared.
Yeah, it
This is going
depends
to be
on
slow.
the type of relation. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's and like the MySQL database is like, if you wanted to put that into an Excel file, you could actually do that. I mean, it's exactly this kind of table. You have rows, you have columns, so you could have like one sheet for each table, and that would be fine. Of course, you don't want to do that when you have your application for a number of reasons, but you could, and you can actually see it. So I guess, do you have anything else?
Yeah, well, we could talk a bit about the kind of the database and the management system.
Oh,
and that stuff.
Relational database management system, which is this RDBMS thing,
and then the database itself. So it's the management system is the database as a whole. Like MySQL is one type, and you have other types like Postgres and Oracle, and maybe you've heard about them. And then you have, inside that you can have multiple databases in the same database management system. So that's kind of the difference between those.
Could you repeat it, please?
DBMS or RDBMS, that stands for Database Management System, and that's the database as a whole. When you install MySQL on your computer, that's the DBMS you have installed. And then inside that you can have multiple databases that can have multiple tables and so on. So you're not limited to one database per database server.
So inside that table you can have multiple databases.
Yeah.
Related within that table.
No, the databases are separate, but inside the database
there is a main server that collects all of them.
Yeah.
So it's just like kind of a storage system. It's not really, but like you could see it that way, where you have this database for the cars, but then you could have another database for something totally different. Like we're going to use this database where you have users and tasks, and I mean that's a different database, but it's still inside the same system. If you type this command show databases in MySQL, it will show you like all the databases you have, and you have already some default ones actually.
Yeah.
I would like imagine it as a collection of folders. One folder, and inside different folders that are inside, or each folder different other folder that's related like that. Like I'm not a tree view of folders inside a main folder called with generals or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to visualize it.
Okay.
Yep, and then you have like we'll be learning MySQL here, but like Postgres SQL is very similar. It's like the syntax is slightly different, but you can just Google how to do this in Postgres and it shows you the exact commands. If you know how to do it in MySQL, you just... And there's Microsoft SQL and I don't know, many,
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of different ones, but
Yeah.
they are almost all like 90% the same, maybe.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll be doing like raw MySQL here, but in practice, if when you develop a web application, you might use some framework that you don't even really see the SQL code. But you need to learn the basics first. Should we go on to or?
Yeah, so we can maybe talk a bit about the schema stuff and entities and all that. Yeah, so what we've been looking at here, this visualization of a table, this can also sometimes be described as the schema of the database. So the schema is the way the data is structured and how it's...
The first line is the schema, yes?
Yeah, you could say that. It's which fields you have or which columns you have in the database.
Should I put the ER diagram one?
Yeah.
Does that help
yeah.
you?
And then another keyword that we usually use is either entity or row. They mean the same thing basically, but one entity or one row is that's one entry in the database. So that's just to get the terminology in place. Yeah, and then we have
What
this.
do you mean about the entity?
The entity is like, for instance, this case for the user table. One user would be one entity,
Okay.
and a task would be another type of entity. But you could also call it row. That's interchangeable.
So in this example,
Okay.
I guess the entity would be
the ID numbers.
this one.
Yeah, I mean that's like the whole row. So one car is one entity. But yeah, don't be confused if we say different things, because we usually mean the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, and then we have this nice ER diagram. It stands for entity relationship diagram, I think.
Yeah, this is an enhanced one, I guess, because this thing is here that say this is like a primary key, and that these are like normal fields, so columns, and these are like foreign keys, so like the buyer ID from before. So it refers to other tables, so like the status ID refers to the status table, the user ID refers to the user table, and you can also see the, let me make it bigger, the types of each column. So like the name is a varchar, basically it's text, and the ID is an integer, so just a number, not negative, I guess in this case. And you have date time here, and an actual. So the difference between varchar and text is that text allows you to have way more text. The varchar is fairly short.
Yeah.
Say again? Yes. So it's easier to show you in this one example. So this would be the ID, and you have like, it's basically unique for each entry in a table, and the foreign key is associating this each entry with an entry in another table. So in here, for instance, is buyer ID 1. It means that when I go to the buyer's table, it's ID 1 that is associated with it. So instead of having Donald Duck and the email right next, I just have a number that points me to another table.
Which is a collection of two tables.
Yes. That's how you connect them.
The previous table, like we had an user.
Yeah.
You've got 1 and 1, so is it the same buyer?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's in this case you're allowed to have duplicates
Okay.
because it's what's known as a one-to-many
Yeah.
relation.
Yep.
So if an entry for another table that indicate the buyer ID, like when you got inside on this entry, you got 2 ID inside. One ID that's related to Donald, and the other ID is related to
So is it
Fleming?
Clement.
or
Yeah.
is
Isn't
like
it? I don't know if I
Say that again, sorry.
That you said that the ID are unique,
Yes, this ID is unique.
and then the parents, what is
foreign tree?
The foreign key.
the,
Or-
what? How do you spell it?
Foreign key,
Or-
you write it like this.
Oh, for rank. Okay.
Foreign.
I got it.
Up.
We
Okay,
are
the
foreigner
full-
here.
Huh?
We are
Yeah.
foreigner.
Yeah, foreign key is that you can get more foreign key inside the specified ID. In this case, number 3 has the entry
Yeah.
ID of the row. Then you go to the field buyer ID. You have 2 foreign key that are another entry to another table that have add one ID per each row, isn't it?
Wait,
So like
Let me-
if you
let
have
me- let me-
two comma something.
two foreign. What do you mean when you say there's 2 foreign keys?
Look, we have one enter that the tree, the ID tree that get 2 foreign key that themselves each one go to another 2 ID on the buyer rev 2. You see?
Oh, wait a second. When you say there's 2 foreign keys, do you mean there's 2 foreign keys for this row, or do you mean in general in this column
No.
there's
For
2 foreign
that
keys?
row.
For this row? No.
That's not allowed in this case because it's a one-to-many. So what you
But what
I
that
think
2 means?
That 2. I
Oh,
see.
okay.
The 2
Just
just
Two is the ID.
it's the ID.
by
Yeah.
ID
Out.
to
So
This person.
itself in the field can contain another table inside.
In a way, it doesn't contain a table, but it sends you to the table
ano-
that
yeah.
does. So
Mm.
like
That's what I was saying.
it's kind of equivalent to having this right after, like in that row, but you don't do that. And the reason you don't do that is because you don't want to repeat information. Like for these first
Yeah.
2, you don't want to have the same email and the same name on that on those entries.
So you create
So
an
just-
instance
Exactly.
that say, okay, in this buyer ID, I address this number 2 in this case, address it to another table that contains 2 IDs.
Yeah.
The ID number 2.
Yeah.
It contains the ID number 2.
That's number 2.
By
But you don't
coincidence,
have the
I could have like as many IDs here as I want, like 3, Marta,
contain the ID number 2.
and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
if
okay.
Marta decides to
So
buy
it's
a-
related only on Fleming.
Yeah, or
exactly.
but
I thought because I saw only Donald and Fleming before,
yeah,
Ah,
and
yeah.
I thought it was the 2. It was related on the number of the ID inside of the table.
no.
No, it's
No.
yeah. Okay.
Now there is
So
the
now
start.
there's this,
Good week,
all
yeah.
these ones, and there's no one bought a car. But maybe you are going to buy the Volvo, so I'll put a 4 there.
Yeah.
But maybe I am going to buy it, so I put a 3.
But like
Okay.
the primary key is a foreign key.
Yes.
The next.
Yeah.
And it's like it's summary kind of is it. So like if you have buyer logins, you have a list of customers. So you structure like the name and the email, all the details on the table.
Yeah.
From the primary key, you use it as a reference on another table before the box from
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a reference. Yeah.
In fact, a foreign key is a primary key in another.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Inverse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And when we are defining the tables, it has to be exactly the same type.
Yeah.
And when you define the foreign key, you say it refers to table X
Yeah.
and field ID.
So for that reason, you said that you have to set up the conditions on it, because it can relate to the same table.
It can actually. It's quite
So-
confusing, but it
Yeah.
can.
So for the reason you have to set up conditions about that number that you're writing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can. We'll show you that in a minute. But you can have a lot of different conditions that that says here you're not allowed to put in an ID that doesn't exist. So, for example,
Yep.
if we put in ID number 5, that would be an error
You cannot.
because there's no buyer with ID 5 yet. So, yeah, and you cannot. Yeah, but we'll show you that in a minute.
Yeah,
So.
we'll get there slowly. This is a bit like a go in head on, but
They work like they look like an object from the.
well, you can see it that way in JavaScript, right? You have an object and then there's like a
But
whatever you
have
call it
ever
because
used
I'm not a
Excel?
JavaScript person.
It's exactly look like the Excel. I mean, but these numbers they are not the same, you know, because when you give the ID to the person, it's a little bit complicated. They shouldn't be the same.
What? Wait, say that again.
You know, when in the first page, in the first table, you will give a
This table or
ID.
the very first one?
Yeah. Yes. You know, this ID is the most important part of this database, you know, because when you use this ID, actually you are referring to the person or to whatever he buy or, yes?
This ID?
Yes.
No, not this one yet. I mean, if there was, these are not being used yet. Like the
Yeah.
ones that are actually used are the ones for the
these
buyers.
IDs is the same
are
as these
these?
IDs, yes?
This one.
Yeah.
So you're saying that these IDs here are the same as these ones?
No, this one.
As
Buyer
that
ID.
one.
as
Yes.
this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean the meaning of
But
these
in
are
the reality, we are not using 1, 2, 3, 4, no?
what you
In
mean.
the database.
You are. In the database that's exactly what
It's
you
just,
Like this number.
Yes.
Just hold on to it.
Okay.
Like the thing is maybe like when you show the data to your users,
Uh-huh.
you might actually show something like this.
You can maybe show the JSON example actually.
Okay.
That's kind of the way you would output it in Node. So the one above.
Oh, that. Oh, okay.
This
That's
one.
like
because
how
when
it would look. Yeah. So that's how you would when you when you get the data from the database, you can format it the way you like. So you can say, okay, when I display it, I want to actually, we call it join two tables.
Okay.
So we join the car table with the buyer table to get the fields we want. So even though the data is stored separately in two tables, you can still combine it.
The idea is that you don't have like the same information repeated. We'll see in the next couple of weeks that is not a good idea. I mean, you can already imagine that if you change one and really forget to change the other.
It
Like-
was looked like the Excel. It wasn't very complicated. I can imagine.
Okay.
Can we maybe show like the ER diagram and then the definition on each side? Or
Wait.
can you do a split?
The
create table.
the create
stuff?
tables. It's probably here somewhere.
Do
Yeah.
you use Windows 10?
No.
Because the screen is
Okay, this is, you cannot really see everything in there, but
Almost.
almost.
Yeah.
So you can see like the create table, and you see that you create an ID there. It's unsigned, which basically means it's like basically from 0 to whatever, infinity, almost. And it auto increments, so every time you insert a new user, by default you don't set the ID. It will just like, if the last user was number 2, the new one that you are inserting will be number 3. And you usually never set the ID. Then you have the name. It's just a varchar. I have to admit, do you remember what the 255 stands for?
The
I never
table of
know.
the character. 255 on the English.
The
Probably something around
255 is the limit. So it's the largest you can put in MySQL, at least for a varchar. So you could also set it lower, like you could specify that a user can only have a name of up to 100 characters, but
Listen to
usually
that.
just set it at the maximum, because then you at least a bit safer, because some people have very long names. And
Yeah. I recently was filling in this form I was ordering something and there was a limit on the address and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I couldn't put the whole address there.
This is the schema.
Number of
Huh?
characters.
This is the
And
schema.
ASCII.
SQL.
It is also that.
How
But that's
that was the-
unrelated.
I cannot understand it.
Oh,
Can you explain it more a little bit?
What? So like this is the code that we use to create this database,
Okay.
to create each table. So it's like create table user is a code I use to create this table.
Okay.
And I created table with user, you see the name there, and then this is each of the fields or column names in this table. So
Okay.
yeah, there's the ID, it's an integer, greater than 0, and it auto increments. There's a name, that's a varchar, and 255 is the limit of characters in the field. The email, the phone, and if you notice there's this not null constraint, so it means that the ID cannot be null, the name cannot be null. You need to give it something. I guess if you give it an empty string, it probably works. That's a bit cheating, but
Yeah.
I have a question. For example, in WordPress, when you want to use a post, there is a title and also there is a body of your post.
mm-hmm.
So for body of your post, you should varchar, okay? But 255 is enough for that or not?
You use another type. Use
Yeah.
text,
It's
I
actually
guess.
this one down
Yep.
here for
that should be-
description.
yeah.
So
Because
text.
it's not limited to.
Yeah. The reason we use varchar for the smaller values is because it's
For example,
you
for
can put on an
forms.
index.
For example, for forms.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
because you cannot have an index on a text column because it can be very large. So
And now what's an index?
yeah, and we'll explain what an index is later on. But
Yeah.
just
Alright.
yeah. So you have the opportunity to, and you also have big text, so you can like store all of Shakespeare's works and in one row. It's no problem. Yeah. So, and there's a lot of different data types that you can look up in the MySQL documentation as well.
And then you see that the primary key, I'm setting it to the ID here. And then this is the part that I always kind of ignore it, but it's, I guess, kind of important. The engine for the database, it's InnoDB, the default character set, and this part is actually important because like, so the character set we're saying it's this UTF-8MB4, and this is important because, you know, there's different alphabets. I think we all
It
do
doesn't
that
take,
here.
Arabic character.
So if like there's some types of character sets that wouldn't take, for instance, Arabic characters, and also like emojis, you put one there and then you see a square, or Arabic, Russian, it wouldn't store, and this UTF-8MB4 will pretty much store anything there's out there. You can even put emojis on your database, and this one actually has some emojis just to make sure that you're using the right character set. So if for some reason we mess up when creating the database, we'll see a square there.
So it doesn't have a preview default set on the chart set.
It has
If
a
you don't
default.
nominate it, I mean, if you don't.
If you don't specify this, but I think at least it used to be that's kind of limited. It's the one they call Latin one, and it doesn't have very many characters. So it's a good idea to always specify it, and to of course have the same for each table. So
Yep.
that way you are sure that you don't get into trouble. So.
When you set it as a default, so you use it for the entire table.
Yep.
But there is any other way that you can set it just as not default and change it in some other tables or different tables? You leave every table on a preset of chart set. You know?
Yeah, you could set the. I mean, you can also specify it for each column if you want, but that's just repeating. So you just might as well do it here for each table. I'm not sure if you can set it for the whole, like for the whole file.
Excuse me, this is the schema.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could call this the schema. So it's just the raw SQL that
Okay.
you use to create the database.
Okay. And then yeah, you have the
Can you explain about InnoDB?
Yeah, MySQL has a lot of different engines that it can use to store the data, and you can have different engines for different tables. So, for example, there's
In one database, we can.
Yeah.
different.
there's one called memory that's only in memory, so it's really fast, but of course it doesn't save anything if the computer crashes, so you shouldn't rely on that for like permanent storage. And then there's one called MyESOM that's, at least it used to be the default, but that doesn't have support for foreign key constraints and transactions, so we don't recommend you use that one. This InnoDB is the most like the most sane default, because it has transactions and foreign key constraints, and it's just the most secure choice. So, but you could mix it up if you wanted to.
It means that, for example, if we have a crash in database, it can reload again, or
Yeah, it can recover, and if something goes wrong while you are trying to insert data, you can do what's known as a rollback.
You roll back, yeah.
So, for example, for like bank transactions and that stuff, you really want to make sure that
Oh.
it's not like half done.
Yeah.
So it's either or. Yeah. So, but yeah, just use InnoDB. That's
Did you teach us injections?
oh yeah, we'll get there
we'll get
last
there,
week.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's where we'll use also SQL with nodes, so that you can also see how what you do in your node application actually. And yeah, nodes and probably most languages when integrated with MySQL, there's some stuff that prevents SQL injection quite easily, without you having to worry too much about it. Okay, so and then there's the table status. Again, there's the ID defined exactly as before. The name, again, primary key is the ID. And then the table task is a little more interesting, because yeah, again, ID, title, description. This is text, which yeah, as Flamingo was saying, you can have like a huge amount of text in there. You are not limited as with the varchar type. And then there's the date time, which is just date and time. You'll see how it looks like when we start making queries into the database. By queries, I mean like getting data from it. Then there's the updated, when was the task updated the last time, due date, when it's supposed to be submitted or done in general. And then you have the status ID, which this is a foreign key. Like there's nothing here saying that it's a foreign key. All that you can see is that it's not null in this case. It could be null, like the user ID is actually, it can be null. But the type that you use to define it is exactly the same. So this is the status, right? It's exactly the same as the ID on the status table. Int, 10, and signed. And if you forget the unsigned, or you change like the type of int, or you put something else, or put int 5, it will probably like just crash, give you some error. It cannot like do the connection.
Yeah, so it's very important that the primary key and foreign key have exactly the same type. Otherwise, you cannot do a constraint.
And then the user ID, yeah, it's exactly the same thing, like defined exactly as the ID in the user table. And in this case, it can be null. I guess you can have a task that doesn't have a user assigned yet. Yeah, again, primary key. And here, that's where you define the foreign key stuff. So you're adding this constraint that you named fk underscore status. Fk stands for foreign key, so it's a little bit of just good practice. You can name it anything, it's a variable name, but if you name fk status, you know that's a foreign key to the status table, and it's easier to read. And yeah, constraint name, and then it says that it's a foreign key, and the foreign key is the status ID field here, and its reference is the status table, and inside the status table it references the ID. And this on-delete cascade, it means that these are some constraints that you set when you create a database about foreign keys. If you delete okay, I sometimes I make a mess with this, but let's see if I don't do it today. So if you delete that status ID, like let's say we delete status ID number 1, all the tasks that have a status ID number 1 will also be deleted. Another way to set up this constraint would be to say, and I think it's actually, so the default one, if you don't say anything, if you try to delete a status number 1, for instance, and if there's tasks with that status, it will not allow you to delete the status 1. You need to keep it. Another one is set null. So if I delete status number 1, all the tasks that have that status will be set, like the status ID field will be set to null. So there's at least these 3 constraints. But I guess one of the most common is actually on delete cascades. Just but that can be tricky. So it depends a lot on what you want to happen, because you also might not want to lose the data.
Yeah.
So if you want to play safe, you use the constraint set null, or just don't allow to delete anything that is linked to another table. Then you have the other constraints. It's the same thing. Constraint foreign key user. Foreign key is the user ID. It references the user table. Inside the user table, it references the ID field. And again, if you delete a user that has tasks assigned to it, those tasks will also be deleted, like cascade. You can think of it as domino effect, something like that.
Excuse me, all these IDs is referred to the first ID that you created, first table?
This status ID and the user ID?
Yes, these IDs you put it in the parentheses.
So the status ID
Yes.
refers to the ID in status table. So this one?
The first.
Yes.
This is the first table, yeah?
That's
Yeah.
that's the second actually.
Okay.
And then
So-
the user ID into the ID.
So all those IDs is related to this ID, yes? It's referred to this ID,
Yeah, to this one.
to this one. Okay.
Not all of them, careful, like one of them.
Yeah.
So if you want to see it here, like, so ID, sorry.
No, I mean the idea of the each one of the users. Each one of the users has an ID.
Yes.
Okay, and we use that ID to refer to this information. Yes. For example, a person with ID 11.
Yes.
We put the 11 inside of this, for example, line. Yes.
In this one,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And like for the status, in this case there's status 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
I can already tell you that much.
Yeah.
And so this one will be either 1 or 2 or 3. Only one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you user 11, if it has a task assigned to it, it will be there 11.
And before collect the information from different users, we have to make this schema. We have to make this schema before using the.
Yeah. That's
Is it changeable? We can change it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can. I think it's alter table or something. The keyword, but we'll
Yeah.
show you later.
We'll get there.
So it's not set in stone, so to speak. But it's a good practice to work on your schema and think about it a good amount before you start, because it has quite a bit of importance.
It's modification then when your code is already done and you're like, oh, I need to modify this, and then you need to modify like a huge amount of code as well. So
Yeah, you can modify it later, but it's good to get like the basics done beforehand, because it can take a long time to modify.
Yep.
Okay.
And discuss with other people, because yeah, they'll like point out stuff that you sometimes just don't think of.
Yeah, so
It's quite normal.
I usually recommend that you actually just draw it on a piece of paper to start, and think about it and show it to other people and get
Yep.
feedback. And
Yeah, doing this sort of diagrams is actually quite nice because you can see what the tables are and the relations between
Yes.
them. Sometimes it gets quite complicated,
yeah,
but at least here it will not get that complicated. Is there anything else, or should we go into the?
I guess maybe we should start installing
MySQL? Okay. Has anyone installed the workbench?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Yes? Oh, and
But-
is it working?
But we don't know if we do it right or not.
Yeah, so there's one tricky part. Let me get the link. So who has Linux or Mac? You have Mac, you two have Linux. 3 people with Linux. Oh.
Nice.
I hope you don't have the same problems I had. So the Windows people, there's like 2 files that you can download, and you want the last one with like 300 megabytes. So you install.
Yeah, but this one is not the same one that you installed. This is the workbench.
Yes, it is.
No, inside of it, when you are installing, you have to click on the workbench.
Also, it's bundled.
You do it
Okay,
before.
this is MySQL.
You do it there, isn't it? You do it up.
Up?
Yeah, there is the workbench. I'm thinking.
Or on the left? Oh.
Did I mess up with the links?
And,
Like
you push on it and then you get.
It's always really confusing.
it's yeah, that's. So I'm pretty sure I download for Linux. Here, why is this not working? I want to select the operating system. It's working.
Because when you push that, then you see that there is they asking you if for Windows or.
If you ask, so I put 2 links.
No, on the if you push on the link that I told you.
Which one?
No, yeah.
This
go,
one?
yeah. You do download now, then you get the selection. They ask you to go down. They ask you see,
Yes.
on the bench.
And this is going to the same place.
No. You do download directly.
No. If you download this, I think there's. Let me just check.
No,
Before.
I downloaded.
This is going to give you crap, actually.
No, I have it.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure, not really
because
sure you're
it's
going
not
to
the
work
server,
out.
it's-
Exactly, there's no server.
Yeah,
So-
it's only the workbench.
So, okay, so there's like 2 things on the MySQL here. There's like the
So I will do this
server and the client. And when you download this workbench, you get the client, but you don't have the server working.
I will install it now.
But when I tried to install it, it just gives the 2 versions of Linux, 14.04 and 16.04.
Let me have a look. We can maybe just.
Yeah, just go around.
We'll go
Each
around
person.
and help you out.
So let's start with you. How is that looking? Which one did you install?
The heavy one.
The heavy one,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know. This one.
That one, okay, perfect. But yeah, so we downloaded the workbench, and that was fine.
I will delete it and we'll do
But
it.
it doesn't have the server, so it cannot really do anything.
A what?
Yes, it looks like that, but you have no connections in there. I'll be there in a second.
I'm the same.
But I guess.
So you reset.
Yeah, it should be okay.
You know your password?
So do I have to uninstall it and install like it?
Oh, what did you do?
You're just connected. It's all perfect.
No. Where did you? How did you connect to
Oh,
this part?
I'm sorry. So you're here in home, and
Okay.
I click
What you
here.
don't know?
This basically connects to your
Ah,
MySQL server, so that you can use the
What
database.
was this?
You're connected to the local database.
What is this?
Forget that for now. You're on your local instance,
Tandoori.
and for now that's all.
Chicken
we do.
masala.
Okay, yeah, so when you trigger
I used usually I think I import your data.
If you know what you're doing, that's all fine.
But yes, before I used Word G6, but now it's 8 structure.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It doesn't change much.
just open with some
But
I
if
do
you want
have
to use
the-
PHP my admin, that's fine. I mean,
and then it probably
as long as
use
you can do the queries and all that stuff.
But in migration is we do migration.
Oh no no no.
I think it
no.
should be
Just that. We just want to make sure that everyone has that. Oh,
Yeah.
and then we'll do the rest.
Why is it? And then I updated and
so it goes from on my let's try and check. It's a bit easier.
Why?
No, we can
So you download
let's see, it's in download.
yeah, I updated my
So you set your OS. You got the latest Mexico workbench.
Oh, yeah.
It requires OS X 10.15.
What?
That's what you have. No, you have 10.10. You have the same problem, so I just removed it. I guess.
What is the problem that you should face?
Oh, plenty of problems.
But I installed it without any problem.
The first time I did it, yeah, no problems either. Like last weekend I was installing it again, and like it didn't ask me for a password, and I need a password to access the server. And yeah, it just took me a couple of minutes to figure out how to
So I have
reset
to
the
install the
password.
MSI installer.
Yes, and that should be fine. That should work.
Install?
I can then try to look for an older version of this. But I mean, the older version that should
It is.
Okay, so you cannot.
Can you go to that delete? Thank you.
Oh, you downloaded it. You downloaded it. Oh, here we go. This one. Go to install, I think before. But don't do that anymore. Otherwise you have to buy this then buy me a new one.
Okay, so just install what you have and install the code, and then we'll figure it out. Oh, yeah, you're fine. We'll do that together. Sure, after. Yeah, there's no server. Exactly. Funny. You happen to know how to install the server on Mac?
I think it's just the download in the download section of the, like, it should maybe detect the, like, I'm not sure.
No, like the skills you get, it's like Linux, it's the same thing. You get the workbench, but you don't get the server. Yeah, that's it. But no worries, I'll just read it.
It's not, yeah.
I just wondered, like maybe you knew.
It looks like wood, so if you say word, yeah. This local install is what you're going to do. So you have to root just save it so you don't have to
It's
type
all
it.
in that. It's just that we've never done it.
That's like PHP.
So I think it's working. So everything's working. Nice. Thank you. Anyone else having trouble? Any help? Everyone's installed the warehouse? Yes. Okay. We haven't installed for
Die komt daar hier, hè? So you are
Okay. Yeah, install it and we'll see if that works. Maybe wait for her to install. Well, just in case it doesn't work. Yes. Just click next. I'm not joking, but it's more or less how it is. Hopefully that's yeah, sometimes there's also issues with like go to question.
شماره دانشجویی که مثلا شما میگیری دوباره چیزی پرایم کی بعد کل دانشگاه
I have most of them. Most of them I have.
But you don't need a lot of
Start
this.
with visual studio. I have them further.
it's like it's disappearing.
You have the MySQL server already?
Yeah, look at it.
Okay, that way, then that
I
thing
do
should work
have.
actually. I didn't know that.
I do
بله خود معرفی کنید
Just give it a second.
Yeah, Microsoft SQL. That's like when I'm doing my SQL. That's Microsoft SQL. It's like the RDBMS, like the management system. It's exactly one example. So Microsoft SQL is a management system. The MySQL is another.
Okay.
So
Be free to touch.
It's opening multiple times. So we
it's already.
You should dig into it. Open it. Probably take 5 years. There is nothing in it.
maybe it's okay. That's it shouldn't be Is it one you got from distribution or it's your own?
I mean, because all this, I just don't want to go through that. Yeah, okay, right.
Oh yeah, maybe
That's to be installed. I don't know.
Take everything, you know. My computer doesn't do anything. Take everything for important.
So there's no software.
So review, it's not what? Okay, I'll do that in a second.
Right, usually way you download it from just
Yes, that's okay. And you define the password somewhere on your website.
Which version?
I don't know. I didn't see that one.
The password that you use for the login,
No, it's not the same. I mean, if you define the same password.
is the same?
Exactly. It's like whatever you want, just don't forget it. Because it's really a pain to figure it out
you want to
afterwards.
see the version of Mac.
I'm not sure. Like, is it? It's still complete. Okay, let's try it on 5 then. So we thought I tried the 609. With you, I'll try the 5.
The oldest one is usually I signed up.
Something.
Yeah.
Give me just a second.
You said to sign up to remember the password. I don't know.
No, there's nothing to do with the stuff on your computer. Okay. Yeah,
We're just waiting now for the computer.
so that is one thing that we shall work on shortly. I think that we should be good to get later.
If in the future I want to
install the other ZPM, we just run this again.
rerun it again. Okay.
Maybe it's
That is
just
at least not for nodes. So, that's just installing the first.
Okay. Is the most effective one MongoDB or Amazon? That is it.
Amazon. So I guess Amazon is basically like SQL. Well, MySQL or Postgres or Microsoft SQL or MongoDB. If I understand it right, that is, it just provides you like a place to store it. But you choose all the storage. We'll do a little bit, if all goes well,
So
we'll
let's pick my MySQL. You can use it anywhere. Stay local.
This one is just local, it's just on your computer.
So if I want to do something like a web application that store authentication password or something, I cannot export it.
If you want, like, if you have a database on your computer and you want to put it somewhere else, like on one server,
Like a cloud server or something.
I think this is what people do is they have this Docker thing that basically integrates your stuff. It's not like, it's almost like a virtual machine, but not as heavy. And you just put the database there and put that on the server. But we could also, like, if you would like to send data and stuff, you could just take it.
But this is it's not something. I mean,
That is just interactive with the operator. That's just like a service.
yeah, let me
and
make
not a
an
program.
example. Let me make an example. If I, for instance, I'm creating an app, for instance, okay?
Yes.
And you do that this app, it should be shareable on the line, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. This app asks you to create a password. Okay. You create a password and then you have to store it somewhere. No, not the database.
Yep.
So this is useless. You don't use it.
Yeah, good actually, yes.
It's useless.
Like you use it on your computer to interact with the database
Yeah,
on your computer,
so
but
how-
then you'll just put your database somewhere else.
So you can take the file that you get from this and put it on
Yeah.
online server like Amazon or
Yeah.
something like that. Oh, okay.
So I'm not really a web developer, but like recently I was actually like doing a database, like a web interface for it. And like what I do is like on my computer, I'm using SQLite or something. It's something like very basic. Like again another database management system. And I have like random data in there just to test out. And then on the server, I actually have a proper Postgres SQL database with my SQL. It's just there, like with the actual data. And I just put backups.
This is not really security with the export import thing, you know.
I usually don't do that. Usually I have something to test on every computer, and the actual database is on the server, and you barely touch that on your testing stuff. It's really just for the production.
Sandbox InnoDB. InnoDB?
Okay, maybe that's it. Yes!
This one?
Ah, no, wait, no, the first one. It's kind of one. What's the setup?
Lauren!
Well, we're having a bit of trouble with it, but I think we'll.
Oh, please tell me. That's what I can do now.
What's the trouble you're having now?
Well, right now we are rebooting because it froze out completely.
So you need the Workbench version 5.4.
Okay.
So it's like the oldest in the
Yeah.
There's the 6.09 which I tried and wasn't working, and then the 5. But yeah, there's still problems here. That's just a different problem.
Okay.
Yeah? Also?
Yes. Oh, okay, sorry. What? So wait, you had a problem with the version again, right?
Yeah, this one we first downloaded. So it's the 6. This is 6.
So that's actually the most recent version.
Yeah.
But were you having a problem?
Before that was
The macOS was too old?
Yeah. We have the same problem.
Okay. Now we have a different problem. That's quite annoying. I'm not even sure what to do. So it looks like we are MySQL server, it's not good. Like you installed the MySQL server, right? Where is that? Yeah, it looks like it. Right. Password next door.
So that was version 8. Now we tried an older version.
Installed it, right? So it should be telling me that it's actually installed.
Oh, now Spotify is starting slow.
Don't forget that password.
Oh, no, that I will never get.
It doesn't need to be super safe because it doesn't need to be super safe because it's on your computer. It's on
No,
your
I don't trust people, you know.
What did it just closes on
Yeah.
Oh.
See, that week, they want me to do like this. They want me to do like this.
Wait,
If
is
it's
it
that week,
complaining?
if it's that week,
Just let it be a week as long as you can press next.
yeah, they want me to do like this. That's it. That's probably not weak. That's the only way.
It doesn't matter if it's weak.
Oh my god.
Okay. Time for the
So,
Yeah.
Oh, you have the terminal. This is a mark.
I'm not sure.
My SQL is not there.
Very weird type of installer company. Yeah, I think it's like this. The workbench.
My SQL is not clear, that must be true. Okay, can you restart the laptop?
Yeah.
Let's do the other.
Yeah, I think that's.
also use Visual Code Studio, but it's just for Visual Studio.
Yeah, do you have the Visual Studio?
Visual Studio Code.
Oh, okay, then I think it's.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Maybe utility. Not sure what that actually is.
So for those who have my SQL
Okay.
working and are quite bored,
Yeah, it's easy.
you
But
can go to the...
we should could share a link of a video that we could install it in our
Yes,
home.
each person is very different.
Oh, it's unique for us.
I mean, like, it's in general it should be quite straightforward. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have any problems.
Yeah.
But there's always like random stuff.
Yes, you are right. I was lucky that I.
Okay, it downloads.
Like if it goes well, you just press
Yeah.
next, next.
So when that's
and
done,
that's it. No need
I
for
guess
the
you can just press
environment.
next.
So
You
you
can do
have
it
just
easily.
one server.
But that's there's always like sometimes there's like dependencies that are not satisfied. Other times there's like cannot find the server. Like for me it was always straightforward, and this time when I was installing,
Yes, maybe.
like I couldn't set the password for the my
It's
SQL
kind of a
server,
bundle. So.
and then I had to figure out
But
how
we'll have
to
to
do
see
that.
if you get
It was
a
not
problem
straightforward at all.
like for the.
Now it's easy.
I think it's.
So it's still in that my SQL.
Yeah, it has to go through a lot of stuff, but I think it's almost ready. Yeah, now it's installed.
Yeah, it doesn't find.
Yeah, that's the reason.
It's gone. Like yeah.
Yeah, I think it should be working now.
Just a little bit. It wants to be.
Can you find the?
I don't know what to do, to be honest. So let's just try out using the workbench. And it should be fine.
Yeah.
I'll just leave the last file, not walk away, just try to see what's going on. I think it's very weird.
No thanks. Maybe choose. I think that's the right version.
And add user?
That's
Add
something.
user? Nope. Next.
Oh, it's probably because.
So don't do anything there, let me just go through it. Okay. What's
Oh, no, it's not. It's just really slow.
super silent? Oh, no, but it's still good. Oh,
That's
yeah.
probably gonna show up.
Are we here? So that's what I was talking about. So
But you don't need to. No, you'll have the root, but up to you. You can do that.
you see, we can change the host. You see, if we do the Amazon database, we can use it as a host for the Heroku.
That's true. Yes.
See, that's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Now I choose only local host. Then I
Yeah,
choose
now you
the
local. Yeah, that's true. I totally forgot about those. You're the best one.
I do
Finally.
username.
You cannot find the server. It's super weird. So we install MySQL server. The same word you installed in Yenna's laptop. And the workbench cannot find the server. If I type MySQL in the terminal, it doesn't find MySQL whatsoever.
But is it? I'm not sure if it's using. I think there's a built-in MySQL server maybe in Mac, or is
This
it is-
bicycle is
I'll
taking
take a look.
too much, huh? I think
What?
Are you sure I don't have to? Can be happy from home.
This version is okay. It's padding in.
How do you install software? How do you usually install software? You just download the.
No? Push it? No, no pushing that.
Yes.
Oh, MySQL.
Okay, no.
Initialize? I'm not sure.
Copy log.
Oh,
Hook
okay.
one.
Yeah, so now you had to put in
Finish.
a root password. And it's very important to remember that.
Yes,
The
please.
set, what is that?
That's MySQL on the command line.
Yeah, what I'm doing
And that's
is
what you'll be using because we like to make your life hard. No, I'm joking. Because it's exactly the same. But you'll just be using this. So this is your local host.
And now it's
As you're
probably
saying, you
this
could
time.
have another host there and access stuff.
That's what I was talking about.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
that's true.
Maybe,
And your password.
maybe you have
Which
to
password?
But if you use Google Chrome,
Yeah.
you can use
So
You can-
try to connect it.
That's it.
Because like I've got so many passwords from bank account, card.
but Google Chrome is the best for bringing back your
Yes, but you can like.
Zip Raptor. You know Zip Raptor?
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
I remember it's a long process. What is the problem? Is that an app? Yeah, LastPass.
Like if you go to the terminal and type MySQL,
Yeah, then there's just
Now we can hack.
something,
it's still
Be ready to be hacked.
So,
Monfrero.
I think maybe we should use the legacy.
obviously the need.
Try that.
I will want to be
Then you don't sleep.
By you.
Yeah. What's that? Ask them all
Should
the.
we take a break?
Yeah, take a break and just take care of
We
it.
can look at it during the break.
Yeah.
So,
And everyone can take a break. Be back at 2.
yeah.
It's finished class.
Yes, next week.
No, the halftime is finished.
Yes.
today, yes.
Just take a break. Be back at 2.
Let's go home.
Well, we try to.
It doesn't work. I want to
Okay, I think now we have to use the legacy password stuff. They changed it, so yeah.
Okay, can you tell me what you do there then for next time?
Yeah, it's this system stuff, and then down here MySQL,
Oh.
and then initialize, and then it asks for password. Then we set the legacy in the options.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, I just guessed. So.
Cool. Awesome. So
Alright,
we only have one more.
But good that so many installed it.
Can you remember I talked about the Tibetan ball?
Yes.
I didn't.
You brought it?
Yes, we can do it after the class.
We have the right version right there.
Okay. But I joined it.
Cool. Thanks.
I think it's installed now. We chose the 5, version 5. So I think it's pretty old, but
Yeah, I think the
probably no
latest is the same.
problem. Yeah.
It works.
But it's like extremely slow, this Mac computer here. I'm guessing maybe it only has like 2 gigabytes of RAM.
Or maybe even 4, maybe like.
Yeah.
4 is already like 4.
So how are they doing exactly?
I think it's going quite well.
Yeah?
Just almost everyone has got the stuff installed now.
Mm.
That's always a hassle.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Stop here, stop in server.
How is JSON?
Yeah, it should, yeah, it can take a little
I'll
bit.
let you know.
Is it like a minute or more?
I think it's because of I
think I'm gonna
open the
Six
so I close it.
Like if it's like never getting past that, then yeah, then we have to see that. Maybe can you click on the log? See what it says. Doesn't look like any error. Yeah.
Ah, did you just get to show you?
Yeah, it looks good. Try to go back to the other ones.
A mim fazia mais sentido ter vários shows e ter categorias para esses vários shows. Coisa pode ser metido no escuro porque não sabes, por exemplo, se vais ter 200
Shouldn't take that long.
os 200, como é que tu vais definir vais ter uma categoria que é história, por exemplo, que só tem
Just like notification.
mais vale ter show que é sobre depois tem vários episódios que cada tem a sua hashtag.
Existe o caso em que um show, vários podcasts, cada podcast pode ser uma categoria.
Oh no.
So I have to use the this one router.
Oh, okay.
Now I can I think it's where my Wi-Fi.
Oh,
I don't know if we get maybe change it. Just plug it out to my computer.
yeah, it's not so nice when
I don't know what's happening. It's like
But it was coffee? Or?
yeah, it's the data. It makes something for my
Okay. Because if it's something with sugar, it's usually the worst because
Yeah,
it's,
it's
it's
sugar.
sticky.
Yeah, now it doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
It's a stuff. I should.
If it's just like tea without sugar or coffee or something, it's usually a little bit easier to clean.
Yeah. Well, no, it has honey.
Oh, okay.
With the honey.
Yeah, the honey is good for the good for humans, but bad for computers.
It's worse in your computer. But sugar is better than honey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. I'm not like, I don't really want to press cancel because then maybe it's all over.
Yeah.
But yeah, try it. Okay, maybe. Yeah. Try this. Yeah. So that's the shield.
Okay, it looks like it's working.
And the workbench. click on server status.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That shows you if oh yeah.
How's that going?
Okay, so you can see here it's running. So it should be installed. Okay.
Okay. It's not.
So
It's
break.
the
Okay.
old thing, just
Okay.
press that.
You can take a break.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it should be. As like 14 February. No, what? Forget the number.
It finally installed.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really sure. Maybe there's a lot of stuff running in the background or something. It's really.
Is it universal?
Yeah, whenever I download some programs or software, it's like, otherwise it's on the school work.
Yeah, we're just wondering if there's like much stuff running. Like, yeah, like, or if it's because if it's too much stuff running, you restart it and otherwise it's not. It's different. Yeah. You could have initially. Like on the phone, I have all the apps open, and then it starts getting super slow.
Oh,
Look at the apps that are open on. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Probably because I have a lot of access.
Yeah, but it's not
Yeah, like just running Chrome itself is requires a lot of RAM these days.
Yeah, like some websites, it's like.
Yeah. Animations and all kinds of stuff.
Like I use Firefox usually, like sometimes it's like, okay, there's something here that's totally screwing up my computer, and I look into what's going on, and it's like the web content runs on websites. It's not even Firefox itself. Well, it is, but it's because of that specific website. So.
Yeah, when you click close the tab, then it's just fine again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it is there.
So
That's
it's slowly getting there.
That's a start. I hope it works better once it's open. I mean, in theory, you can use the terminal. Yeah. Well, no, it's the same thing. We just use the workbench because it's less scary. And also, like on Windows, it's easy. We install the workbench and we install everything. If everyone was using Linux, we could use the command line. Or not.
Yeah, it's always, it's always difficult with this installation process because you could also just host some server somewhere, online, and then you just connect them. But then you don't get to have a local instance.
And it's tricky when you have the homework to insert data and remove and modify it. You have to basically have one instance for each student.
Yeah.
So how useful is it to learn? Will it be easy to learn Python?
Oh, there's nothing specific. I mean, if you use the...
In my university, they are asking me to have a basic requirement in my support.
Oh, because maybe you are going to use Python to do the databases. And in that case, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, but that was a 5.
But it wasn't.
Johan is on the 5.
So should we go to the same place as in the other laptop? To check by the server?
Oh yeah. Maybe we should just see if it.
Wait, you guys didn't install the server, did you?
Maybe it's not the server. Maybe
No,
it's
it's
probably just the workbench.
Yeah, you just installed it separately. So, let's restart the laptop. No, you did that. Okay, then I'm like, Chrome, yeah. And
So if we go back. Yeah, it's probably the wrong one we want.
no, we got the right one. It's, you just need the server. Also,
Oh, okay. It's two separate.
yes,
Ah,
it's a
is it the community server one?
yes. Was it there already?
Yeah.
Yep. And hopefully it's running the operating system.
I think that's.
Yeah, that was.
This is a really old version of OS X. So I think you should take it.
Okay.
Okay.
On the 7th.
So we tried to install this also. The 5.7. That's definitely creative. That's actually what I'm using, man.
I'm just wondering, is this Mac OS 2.14? Is there any other option in the drop down? No, I was thinking the one below.
Okay. Sorry.
Maybe not. Yeah, try it. Oh.
What? Oh yeah, because that's exactly what you. But you need a server. We could do without the workbench, but we need a server. Oh, that's so many options. I'll wait for you. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay, that looks a lot better.
You have 10.6? About.
Okay.
That should be. But I guess you can actually choose one. If there is, I mean, we are trying the 5.5, right? So there's nothing in between.
Let's see.
Okay, well, I'm a complicated a bit, but I'll just try to get them all. 5.5. Alright, let's see what happens. 5.
Okay.
10.6.
Yeah, this one should be okay.
Let's stop. This is good enough. Is it on low?
Yeah,
It's good.
yeah. Eventually,
One, 10.
I I'm just going to get through it. You probably should do this anyway.
Yeah, I think it will be downloaded by the time.
Are you applying for jobs already? Not yet. Internship?
You?
No, I keep applying, but I'm not getting a good response.
You will feel like I'm ready for this because like I don't have enough knowledge.
Are you applying for companies that advertise the internships?
Yeah.
You should also try to apply as just a volunteer, like just any company, just Google active companies. Then you just like send the unsolicited application. Unsolicited application. So there's no job as a business, there's no intern.
But still you need to apply.
Yeah, but you just apply. So put in your
In a database.
but most of the time that's they like it more of more kind of advertise the jobs, or they're even very few people. You may find maybe about five to 10 maximum internships, and they keep jobs with people just keep recruiting themselves. So there are more companies. So you don't go unsolicited applications. Yeah. So like if you go to
Have you got your
the career
flag?
on the
It's not
website,
this.
Not here?
so the
The charger?
Yeah, it's there.
you can send
It's fine.
unsolicited
No,
applications.
someone had forgot.
No, it's not mine.
That was yours?
No, it's not mine. Who use
I don't know, because every time stuff here inside, nobody.
Why did you put it there? Put it here.
Bro, you have to be intelligent. No, don't do that. Give him a plate. I don't want to take everything.
No, don't worry.
I'm just joking, man. I'm just joking.
I'm just
We
defending all
can bring it around. You know?
What is it? Is this rice?
Brother, no prep.
Sorry.
Come on.
Soy?
Let's say from the rice color.
Hey! Hey! The only group late from the project. Last time they told me don't ask any questions because we don't have any answer. On the project we don't have any answer.
Is the project by pair or by group? It
Group
depends.
by two. And we can't decide the group.
You have to
They
decide
decide
or
it,
what?
right?
They decided for us.
Okay.
Okay.
So you don't know who will be your type sheet.
Yeah.
حالا این مونگودیبیه رو به من بگو من چجوری راش کنم
We don't print the
Half the
class.
entire world.
What?
گفتی برم سیم بیاره
Then go by that.
Because how many we have? Jelly, what is jelly?
Next Sunday, she said.
Next Sunday. We have done everything. We have programmed the entire computer. We have created a new web page.
Next Sunday.
If she comes,
ای با ای
She's final birthday.
وایر
I don't know.
she
She said
comes on the
next
phone of God again.
I think she has
اینه
What is it? What is
Brilliant.
it?
Oh, God, you want brilliant you.
What is Sharmila? No, Sharmila.
Daria.
No.
Sonia.
Sonia.
Oh, yeah.
The other girl,
She said that she will
Bengali.
catch up next.
Bengali.
She could take break. Yeah, she could
Yeah, she
join
joined
the
the
next
next
group.
Or she come to the club number 8.
But you and Brilliant.
Yeah. Final product.
You and Gurley are paired for the final one.
I don't want to do everything. No. I need
No,
someone
but
that
after
can...
about a year, there will be very good fun.
خب نباید اول اون مونگودیبی قبلی رو پاک میکردم
نه روش برنامه کرده باشه.
I
ببینیم.
Someone that I can help
But
and
you
they can
can
help.
choose.
So we
We
can
don't
do
know.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
اینجا نصب
نه اینو من خودم اینجا بهش آدرس دادم این شاید به من نصب کرده
Something happening on my back. No! I don't like that. No responsibility. No problem. No problem. Program Limit. Have you seen the web app of Limit?
Yeah.
Have you seen it? The login web app.
Login web app.
پس من باید این قبلیه رو پاک میکردم
اون بیلیتش
No
کنم
one. This one.
این باز کرد
You seen it, this one. You never seen it.
چرا
Huh?
شاید بالایی
Whoa, whoa,
آه
whoa.
دو بعد چیزو
چیه؟
Because it's a mess. This application is not really good. You see?
زمان بودی
Because you see what happened. There is no index or log on here. TPH. Look, you see? They're like this. I made this up. Yeah, you see, you go to root,
You made the app.
you go to root and you see all the roots.
یادم
You see
نمیاد
what time they start, meeting
چرا
time.
ساختم میدونم ساختم
Yeah.
You like it?
پس با هم
Then if you want to send the root to someone, just write the number, the name and number of telephone.
یادم نمیاد چه پسوردی
Just
بود.
working. I didn't make it. I didn't make it. It's that shit. It's not even a good web
It's
application.
okay, show it. I want to do that.
They did it.
No, they did it, but it's not
Sure,
good.
that's all.
There is a lot of errors. It's just a web application, this one. A web application that they assign the password. They give you a random user ID, you know, a long number.
Okay.
And the password is your phone number. Okay. So everybody, when you assign the root to someone with the phone number, they can access it. You know what I'm saying? So everybody can access it if you give him the number. You know. That's not good. Hey, what is that? Guys, let's eat lunch. Let's go.
Again?
Okay, what again? Have you eaten before? You didn't. Oh, boy.
Okay. This is not enough. Enough.
No, you should get here and then give me.
Yeah. Okay, guys. What? Some people noticed that there were 2 packs.
No?
Yeah, and see,
The food is ready.
Yeah.
So just get some food or go. It's up to you, but you have 2 hours to go, so you have to do it.
یه لحظه اجازه بدین خیلی
My
مهمه.
work in Israel.
نه میدونم یه لحظه توی من پسوردم یادم میاد
With what?
پسورده ببین چه کتو گذاشتن همه
Me and JavaScript and stuff.
نه این تو چیز هم توی گوگل هم نمیدونم کسی دارم
ولی نگاه کن مگه این وارد نشدی تو سنگ بود
الان واردم الان اوکی هم دارم وارد توی اجازه بدیم
So I do all the
این چیه میدونی چیه
I learned my regular
آره من میشتم
همه اینجا میاد دیگه
میدونم ولی خب نیاز دارم بعضی موقع سریع برسم بهشون وقتی تو موبایل من اونم ریجیستر نم فورکورس
کاتالوگ رو بیارم بعد ایمیل اکتیو فرستاده
آره نمیذاره دیگه یکیش من سر دانشگاه شاگرد بودم بال میدونم استاد خدا نمره بدیم استاد عزیزت نمره بده آها الان اینجا رو بخونم آره نوشته نمره جی بی بیسیکس آره
این ریزیستر اول بکنم این کیه شروع میشه
ریزیستر کردم یعنی چی؟ یعنی آنلاین
نکردی که 29 جنوری شروع میشه 2 روز دیگه ریجیستر کن
مگه آنلاینه؟ یعنی آنلاین میشیم اون توضیح میده؟
نه آنلاین نیست یعنی توی تاریخ خاصی رو که تکنیکه و تکنیک رو انجام بدی بره
الان این چیز میفرسته برای من نوتیفیکیشن میفرسته؟
نوتیفیکیشن هم میفرسته نکن این کورسات که اینم دقیقی یونیورسیتی
چی چیزی جالبی هم
یعنی خیلی دقیقی تاریخ مشخص میشه
خب الان باید برای ایمیل فرستاده بشه؟
اشکالات داره ها نکن این تو مای کورس
میشه ریجیستر خود
نه نکن وقتی تمام میشه اینو بگید کورسی چند روز نداری ریجیستر کردی الان این ریجیستر اگه تو ریجیستر کنی 29 شروع میشه 29 بعد بچه میزنه بکن
بعد به صورت متنی یا تصویریه
ویدئویی
اوکی بعد تو اینو یاد گرفتی؟ از این اینجوری یاد گرفتی؟
نگاه کن این بیسیک که بری اینو که تمام کردی بعد میای دیولوپر برای جاوا اسکریپت بعد
اینم چیز کن که اگه رو من توی
نه اونو اول برو من عجله نکن
خب سب کنید
بعد میای این میای سکیوریتی بعد اینی که انجام بدیم به ترتیب این
خب من که الان یادم نمیمونه
این انجام بده بعد
حالا الان این مونگو دیبی که من نصب کردم چرا کار نمیکنه بذار یه بار چیزش کنم اینستالش کنم چون قبلا داشتم
نه
Don't forget that question.
برو
It's on the way.
Is it the chili?
Yeah, it's chili.
Okay.
That's good to know.
I really hope the stuff will come back.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So now?
Open the word. Press F8. structure folders on the Mac.
But that's
Very good. So it's probably the initialized stuff
yeah.
from before, except it didn't show anything.
It should just now it has this connection. You can just see it next.
This is weird, but
Maybe it just uses it doesn't have any root pattern.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
I mean, you can definitely skip these tables that have users and passwords associated.
How can we do it?
Let's try to do it.
Yeah. Ah, okay. Didn't give an error.
No? I'm like, it probably
Oh, it's working.
like magic?
Yeah. Don't ask me how.
I'm not sure I went to question that like magic.
So it unlike others, it doesn't really solve the server connecting. It's automatically connected.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can say that there's no. I think the root password is just empty.
Yeah.
So we'll see once we need to connect from Node.js.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll have to look up how to set a password. I guess it's command line stuff.
Yeah, so I've done that for the way if it's the same thing, and it's probably the same logic.
It's
Actually,
like
so you need
this.
to like go to the configuration file and say skip random table. So basically, we have some tables that the password to receive,
Okay.
and then you go inside of MySQL, and
Oh, and you're like
And that's-
manually.
that's not apparently that's a dangerous thing to do. There was a simpler way, but it didn't work for me.
Yeah, we'll see. For now, it's good. Cool.
That's gathering things, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe the book.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Where's Wagner? I was just
Bucket is done.
You want more? We make more when I be back.
10% paid.
Yeah, it takes so much time for to make it so easy.
You see what you want? The package.
Thanks, I know.
See? I told you. Take care.
Okay, so everyone has the workbench working. Yes.
Finally, we can hack now.
You can hack now. But in a civilized way, please. Don't hack too much. Anyways, so we'll create the database that we're going to be working with today. And to do that, you go to this link. Let me post the link first. And basically this lesson data .sql file. So what's the best way to do this? Probably copy paste.
Are you recording?
Hopefully, I probably didn't even stop. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
You never stop it, huh? You never stop it.
If I stop it, I'll probably forget to start it again. So I think I can just get off some parts of
We
it.
should now fork it, yes? Or
No, you don't need to do that. We were just going to get the data to create our database. So we open this lesson SQL file, and I just hope I can select everything. Like this. I know it's kind of dumb, but
we have to do it.
Oh, it's a lot.
But you know,
maybe not. Let's download it. I'll do it.
You can also, if you take the raw, this one, then you can just control A.
Yeah, perfect.
Or
So
command
let's.
A for.
can I ask you something?
Yes.
Please, when you are done,
Thank you.
give us time to come with you step by step.
That's a very good point. Sorry.
No, honestly, because if I miss you forever.
No, I just interrupt you. Like, go slower. don't miss me forever. Okay, so lesson data.sql, and then go to raw, and you can just press Control A or Command A if you're on a Mac, and you select everything. You copy this, and now I need to start my workbench. And I think everyone has selected this, so and is already looking at something similar to this thing.
Okay.
So we have like probably a file that's named query1 or something else. It doesn't really matter. We'll just paste everything.
Okay.
And okay, I'm going to save this as well, just for the sake of it. I'll call it anyways lesson 1 data.
We can save it whatever we
Where
want
do you
to.
save it?
Wherever you want.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It's just so that you keep it
It's just a
somewhere.
file.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a file like it's a SQL file. It could be a JavaScript file.
Okay.
But well, it couldn't. But just to say that's the same kind of thing. And
You can save it anywhere.
yes. And to create a database, so this. Are you okay there? Yeah. Okay. So this file will only create the tables and insert the data on the tables. It doesn't create the database itself.
Yes.
So to create a database, there's this icon here, like probably the fourth. Sorry, I cannot really make this bigger. I think I can
It's
probably
kind
make
of like
I can make this, but not.
a cylinder with the plus sign.
Yeah, and
something
if
like that.
if you put a mouse over it,
The
is
fourth button.
the fourth. I don't want to say it's the fourth because it might not be the fourth for everyone.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyways, when you click, it should look like this. New schema.
Okay, just wait.
It's the fourth for
So
you.
now you're saying to
That's
create
right.
the sheet.
Yeah, this is like creating the whole
Workflow.
spreadsheet.
The workplace.
Yeah.
Why your SQL is different than ours? It's a different version or?
Like the black stuff. It's just because my operating system is quite black.
Okay.
I think it's actually the same version because I installed it like last week. So I'll give it, like the schema name is basically the database name. So I'll just call it href db1 because we'll have a db2 at some point.
Yeah.
And then there's a character set. That's that important thing that we were saying before about different alphabets and emojis and whatnot. So I'm just going to scroll down and look for an UTF-8
Probably
somewhere.
like all the way to the bottom. Or
Yeah, it's no.
Yeah.
There's
UTF-8, yes.
M before.
From the. I just go back again.
So sorry again. So it's a character set. You're not there yet?
Maybe it's different. You know, there is a char set and collection.
You have more than one.
Okay, yeah, you just give it the name like
Okay.
The Unicode,
I call it HYF.
the Unicode, yes, we have a different thing.
Oh wait a second. I can
The
actually.
Unicode, yeah?
No. The UTF-8 M before.
Yeah, Unicode one. Because in the
Wait. Are you doing the collation part, or are you doing the character set?
character set. Because in the map,
Combined in our.
Yes.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
it's only one drop down on some.
is Unicode.
Ah, I see. Yes. Okay, then yeah.
So it's the one with the collation.
Yeah, on the collation I go and choose the Unicode also. Sorry, somewhere like this.
Very long.
This one.
This is for the collation in your case.
Okay, please choose it. Yeah.
I'm just showing for the people to see. You should find it somewhere now. Let me just make my screens.
There is two.
You know that this is not really good. No, there is two Unicode, but I cannot see.
Yes, I
even,
cannot see as well.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah, that's the problem on Windows.
a bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the first one.
You know,
But you're fine, yeah.
it's hidden.
It's fine, just pick one.
I think
there is
it's
two.
because
Because
it's
it's
also
all-
specified for each table,
This
so
one?
it's
Yeah.
it's
Hold
okay
on,
if it's
hold on.
not.
It's not
Okay.
too... Like the difference is minimal. I
Okay.
don't think you'll notice it even.
Okay.
Okay, I still didn't...
I think it's a bit different on.
I don't
Check
think
out
there is any difference
the-
from it.
The first one, yes.
Take the last one.
Choose the first one. No, yes, the second one.
The second one. Okay.
Choose the second one.
I mean, probably the other one is
The
okay
last
as
one,
well.
yeah. That's it.
Every time that we are going to make a database, we have to follow this structure, yes?
Yeah, you need to firstly create a database.
Okay,
You could do that like with the command as well.
okay.
I'll show that in a second. And then you create the tables, and then you insert your data. We're not going to teach how to insert data today. That's next class. Okay, so if everyone that like gave it a schema name and the character set and the collation, it just apply, and then it says stuff. Like this is actually the command that is used, to create a database. So you can see create schema, create database will also work. Actually, it's like equivalent, almost the same thing. And then the name of the database, and then default character set is UTF-8 MB4, and then the collate part UTF-8 MB4 Unicode.
Okay. No, when you apply this window
Yeah.
is open. Will be open. Apply.
And now I click apply again,
Apply.
and that's it. And you should see, sorry, you cannot really see it on my screen, but on the side around here you should see the database you just created.
Yeah.
But
You have
okay,
seen
this
different,
is the
yeah,
schema.
schemas. The
And
first
then-
one.
Okay, but I have different.
Yeah,
another
that's
tab.
okay.
Schemas.
Don't worry. Like usually MySQL comes up with a few
Yeah.
This is my
databases
system.
that are kind of
The
standard.
system
why
one
it
is
should
just
be
the built-in,
different, you
so-
know?
Yeah, that's another point.
What can I say? Okay, so it's now we have our database there. You can see the schemas, and we go back to our lesson 1 data or whatever you call it, and we just need to execute all of these. And so there's like to execute, there's like this sign that's like a lightning sign. You only, like the first one, you just execute whatever is selected or everything if nothing is selected. And this one with like, there's like a thingy there, it only executes the statement that is under the cursor. Like, so it just executes this line, which doesn't make any sense. Just so that you know there's like those two. And in this case I want to execute everything on the file. So it will be the first lightning without anything in there. And
Error.
no database selected. Yes.
Great.
What was that
First
error?
First error. So use to select a database to work with. Use this command. Use
How can you treat it up a bit?
href db1 or whatever you call your database.
Okay, the first line before the set name, yes?
And semicolon, I guess. Always a semicolon after each command.
Is that USE is yes, like it's all.
What the commands?
Yeah,
No, you can type
Okay.
use and it will work.
Oh, it doesn't matter. That was a
No.
good question.
It's like a good practice to have them mostly in uppercase,
Okay.
but you don't have to.
Like when you create a class, then you have the first letter uppercase.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's mostly a convention just to show
When,
what is.
when I
yeah,
save
sorry.
it, I have to click on this again.
But no, don't click that. Just that's to execute.
There you go.
To save is the usual
Now
icon
what
there.
happened?
Here,
Yes.
They will give you
And they are
the
missing a
data.
semicolon.
Action output down here. If you scroll down to the maybe maximize the window.
And I hope it works for you because you created your database with a dash, and I'm not
Then you
sure
can
if
see
dash.
all the statements
is
that got
it possible
executed.
to change
So
it?
everyone,
Let's see.
they all work
Try clicking already.
without error.
But here
That's
it's
good.
like this.
Yeah, we can always create
So
a
yeah, now you have
No, yeah, keep the
Create
dash.
What we can do
Like you
with
have
this-
it with a dash.
yeah. Then
So keep
now we'll start
Like-
selecting things
Yes.
from.
And now I try executing.
Oh.
do
Like
queries.
this one?
Yes.
So you check for the database, the error on it. then
Yes,
you-
because
you
the
work
the
with
dash has a special meaning in
So, 'cause
SQL,
you can
I
always
guess.
get errors.
So you need to
all the
create
way
another
through.
database or change the name for this one.
Can we change from
I
here?
don't know, try maybe alter schema. Try alter schema. Yeah, change the name.
No, it's unchangeable.
You can?
No.
Okay, then just create it. No worries, that's okay. It's empty anyways. Okay, so everyone.
You can tell the other people that they don't use the dash.
Okay, so don't use a dash in the name of your database because
But how should delete
dash,
this?
like the
How can I
minus
delete
sign.
Oh, you do
How can I
underscore.
delete
Yeah,
this?
like
It's
this.
a kind of Turkish grammar.
Because apparently it's
It's not part of the UTF character.
no, it's like it's a special. It has a meaning in SQL, so it's telling me
Yeah, it's probably like
there's an
minus,
error.
Yeah.
yeah. Like if you think of JavaScript, for instance, the
Oh,
minus
yeah,
has a
it's,
meaning.
Reserved character, yeah.
Yeah, so we
Like
cannot
minus,
like
plus,
yeah.
slash.
You cannot put that on your variables, and it's the same thing here.
And how can I delete this part?
Drop? Yes.
But it doesn't do.
Reading the database.
Maybe
But-
refresh.
No, it's gone.
It's gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now just create the new one.
How should I make another? Okay.
No, the first one. Yes.
How would you do it?
Ah, it's just taking a while.
Okay.
Okay, now it's an underscore please.
What? Do you understand the question? Do you understand the question? No.
Okay,
You don't understand the question.
so let's execute this and hope for the best now. I guess, well, for me it works. I hope it works for you too. Is everyone on the same page? Everyone executed
just a
this?
second, because
Got everything?
I delete the file as well.
So for everything you still have, yeah?
No, he didn't. He just think he did.
Now that will have
Go down.
go home, have another computer.
Back.
To see if there are aliens or not. Yeah.
Yeah, finish.
But the file.
Go back to that world thing.
Should I apply here?
Ask
No.
you,
No, no,
how
let's
old is
do-
your baby?
Oh no, you actually did.
Yes, I believe it.
Word you used earlier was
Okay, go back to Git,
Yeah.
create a new SQL thingy, and now go back to. Yeah, perfect. Now just write use
Yeah.
Yes.
again.
Boo means something else. Boo means something else. What is boo?
Okay, two.
What? Means? Really?
Oh, I let it there. Just save it.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
everything getting recorded. Yeah.
No, I wasn't that the meaning
Now it
small
should
boy.
work.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know
I
Indian.
forgot the semicolon.
I know how to, I don't know Indian.
Go again.
I don't know Indian. I don't know Indian. I don't know Indian. Shout out
Okay.
to do my channel.
Okay, so next, so you have our database. You can see there that there's like tables, and I'm going to start using only command line because you cannot really see that from far. So I'm just creating a new SQL file,
File and new table.
and I'm going to just like show tables just to see which tables I have.
Are you on the table, current?
No, this is a new file.
Yeah, I just created a new file. So I left like that lesson 1 data there, and I clicked in the first icon that says create a new SQL tab for executing queries.
Okay.
And now I've just typed show tables. Jesus Christ. And I see here that there's 3 tables in my href DB.
Okay.
Database?
What is this part here?
Oh, that's just the out. So this here, it's just the output of whatever you are executing. So in this case,
No, this part. This part that you are looking at.
it will show up if you execute that.
Yeah, that's the results from the database.
Yep. Did you execute
How should I? Okay.
the lightning?
So we don't need to tape it, yeah? We
No,
don't
no,
need
no, just yeah, just execute, and then
Yep.
you get 3 rows back.
It's like a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah, to execute is the lightning.
Yeah, the lightning bolts.
Every time we write something new, we have to execute it.
Well, if you want to run it, yes. If you don't want to run it, that's a different story.
Okay.
Oh, we just saved it.
Okay, so I just checked my tables, what do I have there, and now we'll start on queries, which basically means starting to get data out of the tables according to certain constraints. So
First problem is coming.
first problem,
First of a row.
I'll just wait for a second.
And why we did write the use actual future here?
Because to do like you are on MySQL, that's fine, but you need to say I'm using this database, because you can have 10, 20, 50 in there. So you need to tell it which one to use.
So
And now it already knows. So you can keep doing until you say use another database. It's using that one.
but this file was the database, no?
Yes, no, well, yes. So that file
Yes.
is a file that you use to create the tables and insert the data.
Okay.
But before that, you need the database itself. You see it as a folder. You first have a folder, and then you put your files in there.
Okay.
In this case, you have the database.
So this is the folder or the file?
Yeah, that would be the folder.
Okay.
And you are saying, use this folder,
Okay. Now,
and then do everything inside that folder.
Now that.
Cool.
And what is the show tables? This is a kind of language, yes?
Yeah, this is already the language.
More,
So that's already a command.
it's a high language, really close to human language.
Yeah, in a way.
Select from where,
Ah.
Yep.
show.
It's quite, yeah.
So now we have One table.
3.
Tables and actual three.
Oh, okay. So it's
I hope you see 3 in there.
No, yeah,
No.
yeah. So are 3 tables in one field called tables in. Oh, okay, I got it. So the list of tables.
Okay, cool. Okay. Alice. It's working? Cool. Okay, so next thing, hello. So we'll start doing the queries, and I'll start with a very basic one. I'm going to get all the data from the user table, and I do that by doing. Yes. Huh?
What?
Oh, she has a child. She wants to.
Yeah.
This code.
How much is your capacity? How big is your
More
capacity?
than your capacity.
Okay.
I'm new. Update. I do update. These are old versions. It's not heavy. It's light. Yeah, because I made it that so they can eat it. No, you joke like this, man. I don't joke. I don't know. I don't find it funny.
It's been recorded.
Oh yeah, it's being recorded.
Just because you live there or you're eating creepy.
Okay, so the basic thing is select asterisk or star, whatever you call this, from I said user, right? From user, and then semicolon. So what basically this means is, and good practice would be to do like this: select everything. This is really bad. Everything from user, and user would actually be like this, I guess.
Is it case sensitive?
No, not at all. It's just good practice, if I remember right.
The queries, like you select on the from the
No, I could write this and it would work anyways. It's just that so the SQL commands are usually uppercase, and your variables like the table names or whatever columns are usually lowercase, I think.
But when you write, you don't write user with quote.
No,
When you do that, one is about the.
I'll get there. Wait a second.
Yeah.
But the table names are not with quotes.
And
Not in pure SQL.
the user now is a table, yes?
It's a table, yes.
Okay.
Whatever. Oh, I want to say my queries.
What are you doing?
No worries, just ignore me. Anyways, now I'm going to select to execute only these 2 lines. So I'm just going to select them and execute. Sorry that and when I select you cannot see anything, but yeah, it's basically select lines 2 and 3 and use the lightning that says execute the statement under the keyboard cursor, which is probably the 4th icon. And now you see that, well, you barely see it. Hopefully you get the same thing on your computer.
Exactly.
And you can see that there's like 12 users and the 13th ones that, no? Well, it doesn't exist. I think it's
Yeah,
just,
Users
It's
plus
that
and
works,
minus.
it's just different.
yeah, plus some null.
It shows you 2 or something.
Because probably this you want to select the selected area. But
And each
even
time
if
that we
you
write
know
in
that they don't show
new
the
code,
table
we have to
anyway.
select it and
You don't see the
execute
table.
And run with this
Where are
one.
the table?
this one. Not
Yes.
this one.
Like this one will execute everything in your script. The other one is only the selected stuff.
Okay.
Try the first one. The one with just the blood.
Error.
This one?
Now you get 5 and use. So you have both.
Okay. So you
But if you just use this one, then you just get whatever is
user
in.
7 now.
Sorry?
You get user 7.
Oh, it's just because it keeps counting.
Oh, because they're containing
It's a new
hold on. I got it. Oh my god. The increment that they have to.
No, it's unrelated, but it's just a workbench specific thing.
Because I thought that did 7 is part of the ID already written here in the
Yes, for the
Yeah,
table
in the
names.
table.
on the set. Here we go. How to implement understand ID.
But that's not it. It's just it's just a workbench thing.
So one thing. So my SQL is actually case sensitive for the table names. So Monia wrote user with uppercase and you got an error. Like the table, the user with uppercase does not exist. And I just got the same thing just by doing that. And if I write it in lowercase, it does work. So just keep that in mind. The commands are not case sensitive, but the table names and so on are. Like your variables, I guess. Assuming they're.
I thought I had your same problem. I don't know why. Why is it was only with you? I mean, it doesn't work only with you.
Maybe it's something to do with Windows and Linux and all. But just always use lowercase for the table names and
Yeah, because
column names.
if you go and see like when we created the table user, it was with lowercase. So apparently it's case sensitive.
So, okay, I got it.
So we have 3 tables. I did this for the user. I can do the same thing for status. And I see that there's like 3 status, not started, in progress, and done.
It's recording.
And then there's same thing for task. That's the other table. And I can see that there's like a bunch of things. There's 35 tasks. And yeah, you can see there's a status ID and a user ID, which are references to the user table and the status table. And now, like with this query, you select everything in the table, but that's not usually what you want. So the next part for the in a query is to use the where thingy. So I'll say select everything. Anyways, by everything I mean like all the columns from task, but now I'm saying where the title is wash clothes, for instance. So I'll say where title equals wash clothes.
It should be double quote.
I'm not
So
sure.
it give you back a return the ID?
It will give me it will give me all the columns, so ID, title, description, created, blah blah blah, from the
So
table task that have the title wash clothes. So I'm pretty sure in this table there's only one task with this title, and that should be what I get.
Excuse me, before we use the where, we have to be in the same table, because now you are in a select from task. Yes.
No, I could say select from user.
Okay.
Where.
But you can search this.
It's like if I do this, it's not going to work because I don't
It doesn't
have.
exist.
Like there's no column named title.
Okay,
yet.
so you have to be in that in that table when you are searching about this title.
What do you mean being in that table?
Okay.
You
know
mean-
this title wash clothes?
Yes.
Okay, is in the task user. Sorry,
The
task
task
table.
Yes.
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 So before searching anything, you have to be in the same table. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You need to say from which.
Yeah.
Like you can see it this way. You can only select things from a table that has those things.
Okay.
So you have to know the content of that table.
Yes,
Yes.
you do.
You have.
Yep. So in this case, yeah, I'm going to select. I already did it, but I can do it again. Anyways, I see that I have one task that is retrieved to me, like with the title wash clothes and then everything else.
There is a
you have an error because you have a semicolon after the task.
It
And-
shouldn't be, no?
No, because it's not the end of your thingy. Like, this could actually all be like this, in the same line.
Yeah.
It would be fine. What's...
So it's
I think it's better like
kind of
that.
like JavaScript that you end the statement with a semicolon.
Yep. That's a semicolon that tells you the statement is
What's
over.
that? Another thing.
Because you have a space.
Which space? This space?
Yes, no, in the string. So homies just did like this, yeah, the space before everything else.
So that's a parameter. Even that.
No, it's like it's a space there, and now if I run this, I don't get anything because I,
it's another.
it's
thing.
exactly yes, it's something else.
If you have so many select statements, will you just work on the last one?
Say again?
If you have so many select statements, so will you just execute the last one and ignore the rest?
Depends which sender you use. If it's the third one, if it's the first sender, it executes the whole document, the whole script. If it's the other one that says execute the statement under the keyboard cursor, it's only the statement that you're selecting, wherever your mouse pointer is. Since you're only retrieving information, you're not inserting or deleting. If you run everything, it's not a problem in general.
Okay.
Well, yeah, this is an exact match, so that's why it doesn't work if the string is not exactly what you're looking for.
And is it sensitive about the capital words and?
Let's see. So
Good question.
if I what did I anyways, if I do that,
No.
I still get it. Yep,
Good.
that works.
I think it's because we chose the Unicode CI, and the CI stands for case insensitive. So when you search for strings, it doesn't matter.
Good.
Um,
Good.
Yeah. So as Fleming was saying, this is an exact match, and you could use
Same as poker.
this command like, which would be like it's going to look for things that look like this string. So I could have like just I'm going to look for things that involve washing stuff. So I'll put this % here and another here, and what this means is there can be anything before the wash word and anything afterwards. We only care that the wash word is in there. So let's see what comes out when I use this. And I see that I have washed the car, washed wash the clothes, wash the car, and wash the windows.
Is there any way to make it like a comment? Because I don't want to clean it up.
Let's see what the comments are. It's a comment like this. A comment like this. Oh, it's
Okay.
yeah, comments if you want to
Just
comment on
behind
things.
the first one, yeah?
Yes. So line comments are like
No,
this.
it didn't work for me.
Doesn't work for you?
No.
Okay, then never mind.
Yes, maybe it works because.
Or maybe it does. Yeah, it does. Okay, so what else? Should I? Sorry, I don't know what's the workflow by in my head. Da, 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 da. Okay, so imagine that you want to see only the first two tasks that involve washing something. You could use this other command that is limit and say limit 2, and it will show me only the first two tasks. Does it make sense?
It's like the query on the URL. That's it. No.
What do you mean by limit?
You limit the results to the
Okay. And
Exactly.
it will calculate from the top, you know.
Yeah, it starts
first
from the
two
top. And I think there's like, you can like give it an offset thing, so I could start from maybe 2 and get the first 2. Let's see what happens. Oh, nothing happens.
There's also just the offset by itself, but I'm not sure.
So Google is our friend. MySQL limits. And probably I'm going into the MySQL. No, I'm not going there, but this is probably good enough. Where is it? I just want to see the command.
Yeah, it's just without the parentheses, I think.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Then limit 1, 2. So the first one was wash clothes, and now there's no wash clothes anymore. Because I limited to 2 entries in the database, but I started counting after the first one.
Okay.
So skip 1 and then
Yep.
the remaining 2. Oh.
If I had like limit 2,
We start from 15.
It's like index.
Yes.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
it's an offset at the end of the day. So now I started counting from 2.
Just wash windows. Yeah.
And I still want 2 entries, but there's only 3. If you start counting from 2, you only get 1 more.
If you do 3, why not 3? I would like to see how the errors look like.
If I do what?
3. Start from 3.
Start from 3. I'm pretty sure nothing shows up there. I hope.
Yeah, you just get an empty result. So it's not an error. It's
not
just
an error.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
perfectly valid, but it's just empty. But this limit and offset stuff is what you would use to implement pagination on a website. If you had you show 10 posts per page,
What
then
do
you just multiply.
why
by,
we do need
offset
this
stuff.
method?
What you are saying, like pagination.
So you
like
would say,
when you go to an online shop.
Yeah, sorry. So the first page would be limit 0, 10, and then the next would be limit 10, 20, I think. Something like that. So you keep incrementing the numbers.
Then you multiply n, and n it should be changed.
Yeah.
0,
Exactly.
0, 1, 2.
And it's actually
so
a good
it's
thing.
like as a function. It can accept, for example, value.
I'm not sure if it could, but you would probably do that in the note beforehand.
Yeah.
So you calculate the offset and limit in note, and then you put it in.
Yep.
But it's a good thing to always, on a big database, you always want a limit because there could be millions of rows, and it would probably crash your computer if you got them all.
Yeah, it's a
So
server.
But can null be overwritten?
can-
What
What
mean,
do
what I'm saying is now you don't have any any raw related any title related to wash after the third one because we have only 3. Okay, and it doesn't give you an error. It gives you null return. Null is a value, so it means you can overwrite it or you can just.
no, this
No.
is a read only because it's a select. So
Yeah.
you cannot update the values you get back.
Not here. We'll update values next class. Today it's only getting data. You only read, nothing else.
Yeah.
So
Excuse me, if you use that brush tool, it will make it beautiful.
oh
Nice
oh this is another level. Okay, so now the next one I'm going to leave the task table for a bit. Oh, but this is a lot of trouble to write like this. I'm not that good. So I'll go into the user table now. So I'll still select everything, but from user. Oops. And now let me just see what's actually in there. So let's say I want to order the entries in alphabetical order by like the first name. So what I will do is from user order by nice like this name, and I'll run it again, and now I have it ordered by the name. So first comes the A people, then Donald Duck comes, and
The order by does only reordinate.
yeah,
That's it.
yes, that's it, nothing else.
And if you have numbers, if you do ID,
We can
reordinate the ID from 1 to whatever.
yeah, so by default it comes by the order is on the ID, so it will be ID 1, then ID 2, then 3, and so on. If I don't do anything like this,
Yeah.
is this?
If you want to flip it.
So it's like yeah, like this. Then I did order by name. I could do order by phone, for instance. And this is not a good idea. So yeah, you see that it starts by 1, then it starts by 2. And
But you can edit it? The order by?
yeah, it's up to you.
No, if you want to make it from the biggest number to the first number, the order the ID. Oh, okay.
Good
So
question.
you say order descending.
Yep. That's all.
The default is ascending.
Yeah.
That's ASC. So
If-
yeah, that's the default.
And then you have the descending.
Please repeat again. What was that?
So this is to order. Like the entries usually come ordered by ID,
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. But when you use this order by command, you can specify a different column.
Yes.
And now I specified phone,
Uh-huh.
and I said order by phone, but in descending order, so from the largest number to the lowest number.
Okay.
So from like, in this case, it starts with 8 numbers that start with 8 will come before numbers that start with 7, and so on. So it will be like 8, 7, 6 until it goes down to 0 if there's a 0. Or in this case, it's the smallest one is 100 something, and then there's the nulls that come at the end. If I didn't have this, it would be in ascending order, so starting from the smallest one to the largest one.
But actually we can, if you click on the email or name, you can sort it without this code.
Yes,
That's cheating.
but when you're programming your stuff in Node, you're not going to have this nice thing.
Okay.
That's why you learn the raw stuff.
If you click on the email, name or ID, you can sort it.
That
It's
is
not
very
like
much
extra.
true.
In this manner, you should be on your website and click it for your client.
Oh,
Sort
okay.
it for it.
So we write this code to run in the website.
In your website.
Okay, now I got
Yep.
it.
So this is
So-
just an
So
example.
this code that we are learning now, it will be used in the, for example, we click on the button and it will give
Yes.
us some information.
For instance, when in a website you have a table,
Yes.
it's basically this kind of, right? Like this is a table.
Okay.
It's probably some query in the backend, like in Node that is doing some select statement from some table.
For example, we have age for person, and we want to select the oldest person, 10 first oldest person. So we should sort it, and after that select 10 limit. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I understand.
So one other thing, up to now I've been selecting all the columns, but I might want, maybe I only want the name and the email. I don't care about the ID, definitely I usually don't, and I don't care about the phone in this case. So in here, in the select part, I type name and email. And if I execute again, I only see the name and the email.
Okay.
So the select statements, you can like select which columns you want to see. Or you can select everything if you want to see everything. So I'm going to cross my fingers and go into the drawings because there's an hour left, and if there's trouble with the drawings, it's a
Yeah, it's probably. Yeah.
the others is fairly easy. So
Does it really matter at all with the case we don't have on my system? I try to make it work, it gives me options. So like if I want to write select, if I just put an S, it gives me all the options with the S.
Oh, that's nice.
Ah, yeah, autocomplete.
Yeah, but then it's more like the normal, like it doesn't really.
Oh, it's totally fine. It still works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me go back.
Excuse me. If we, for example, want to select the null one. For example, we have some table null, and we want to select nulls. Which one is null? For example, the list of telephone, and some person doesn't mention.
That's a very good
Maybe
question.
You should write null.
Let me just, because I'm also not entirely sure I know how to do this. I have a guess, but so yes, there's some phones that are null.
Yeah.
So let me put well, I can leave the order.
Which keyword do you think would
What?
Yeah.
Phone
Phone.
equal
Now.
equal no.
No.
I actually think this doesn't work, but let's see, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And I'm going to try this and hope it works.
Phone is no.
Now it
Yeah.
works.
So for nulls, it's a special value. So you need to use is instead of equals.
Okay, it's not equal because they didn't actually mention the whole number.
Yeah.
But
So
it's the word is because it's just like
Where
Yeah.
we can learn more about this kind of codes?
The
Do
command.
you have any source that we can?
I think I
There
put
are
some.
some,
same,
links
same
here.
as
there's some
MDN.
reference
Yes.
material
Yes.
underneath.
So
here.
wait a sec. So
Okay.
there's tutorials point. It assumes you are already a developer,
Yeah.
so it's not very detailed. I like these W3C
Yeah.
schools as well. It's not. I don't hear very good things about this website, to be honest. I just like it because I go there and I see the command I want
Hmm.
without a lot of text between or before. Then the official MySQL documentation is quite good, but it's very detailed, and I sometimes just want the commands. But if you want to read about the commands, this is the good place to go.
Yeah.
Then there's also a tutorial from MySQL, and this is just about the character sets, the UTF-8 stuff that we saw.
But yeah, the
So,
first two you should probably read up on at least.
Yeah, probably the
For next
tutorials
time.
point especially.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because the second one give you a lot of example of what, as you said,
Yeah?
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
you can interact with the editor that they give you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because there's the one that you can change it and you run again and
Yep.
you see the change directly.
Yeah, like for me, I usually know what I want to do, so I just get there and get the command, and
Hmm.
it's usually a problem of syntax for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, all of these four, just choose your favorite. And so now back to task. Actually, what do you think happens if I run this?
From
We give you only the
It's not
field
even-
name, email, and phone.
No.
name, email, and phone in the task table. Yes.
What if it doesn't exist?
Hold on.
Which doesn't exist?
Like, I have the task table. My task table has some columns. If none of them has these names,
Maybe
Yeah.
you an
It
error.
says
But
column, this column is not present.
No,
It's like
because
the-
select, hold on, select what we do, select asterisk, we select everything
Yes.
inside that
Yes.
table.
yes.
But now we want just to see, show up name, email, and phone. So we got only the name, email, and phone column.
The
But-
question is,
but
what is-
Do they exist in the task table? The tasks have emails?
Oh, that's,
But if it doesn't exist, it won't show anything.
Okay, let's
Let's
just
see
see.
what happens.
I'm actually not sure if it gives me an error or just nothing. You did it already.
error?
Yeah.
Error.
There's an error. There's an unknown column in the field list. Like it doesn't know
for
what
my
it is.
SQL class. You can register for my SQL class.
It's good to try these things out so you can see what the errors are, because you're definitely gonna see this at some point. So don't be alarmed. Just read what the error says and
Yeah.
then yeah.
Oh,
So-
can we do select name, email, phone, where, Well, no. I was thinking about
Yeah, I think I know where you are going,
Yeah,
but that I don't think it works. Anyway,
And
I think it doesn't give it's an error because if you just like take away everything, you just do select star everything, and it has, when you look at what comes out, it has no name now, email address. So that's why it's an error.
But there is a thing that we can do. I know that. there is a thing that we
okay.
can
So
do.
we need to move on. I hate to be this person, but there's like this tricky part coming up, and you need to leave the class knowing that.
okay, go ahead.
After the class, I'm here. You can do whatever.
Yeah, and of course also ask questions on Slack.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to have a Slack call during the week, that's totally fine. Just let me go through with this. So, what did I want to do? Now I forgot. Anyways,
Joins?
you have the joins, but I was going to say something before. So, like in this case, you're selecting columns that don't exist. So, it's quite normal that you start a job and you're dealing with a database that you don't know. Like, you didn't build it yourself, you don't know what's in there. So, what you could do would be like this: describe table. I'm never sure about everything, but like, let's see if this works. I think it's a table that is too much. So if I do describe, and let me do this properly, describe user, I'm prescribing the table user, and I see like that I have these fields, ID, name, email, I see their types, I see if they can be null or not, I see if they're primary keys or not also, and then I see some extra stuff. So I'm going to do that for task because I don't know all the columns in my head. Like, I don't remember everything, so I'm going to see which columns it has. And I see that there's the ID, title, description, created, updated, due date, status ID, user ID. So now we're going to get into joins.
But these are the table. But just imagine we don't know if there is any table or not.
Show tables.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
So we're now going into joins, and basically the idea with the joins is to join tables, like the name says. But how we join them is usually with a foreign key. Like when we're showing you the Excel sheet, you have the car, there was a buyer ID, and often I would want to know who the buyer is. I want to know the email of the buyer, for instance. In this database here, we have the tasks. Tasks have a status, and there's users assigned to those tasks. So for instance, if I want to see all the tasks whose status is completed, now let me check what the...
Biggest done.
Yeah, select all from status. So I want to see which tasks have the status done. And there's quite a few different ways to do this. I'm going to do this by joining the tables and checking, like, okay, I have all these tasks here. I'm checking the status of there, and I'm checking which ones are the done ones. And so this will look something like this. I'll select everything. I'm not going to be picky about columns, but it will be from task join status. I'm joining these two tables, and I need to say how am I going to join them. And this is where the foreign key comes in. So I will say that it's on task.status ID equals status.id, where status status.name equals done. And you see here that I use like task.status ID, and I use status.id, and I use also status.name. This is to avoid any confusion with, like, for instance, the ID field. It is both in the status table and in the task table. And if I don't put status here, my SQL will get confused and like throw out some error and not give me anything.
Can you repeat again in this part and explain every?
So you have the table task,
Okay.
and you have the table status. And you know that in task, let me show you the diagram.
But why they are different color?
Oh, that I don't know.
Okay.
Don't worry about the color.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you see that I have task
Yeah.
that has a status ID, and I
Yeah.
have the status table.
Yeah.
And this ID corresponds to this ID here. So I want to join the tasks with the status by ID.
But why that ID responds this ID?
Because it's a foreign key that I defined when I created my database.
But what about the ID INT?
Oh, this is just a type of the column. Like it's an integer.
No. The yellow one.
This
Primary key.
Yeah.
That's the
this
primary
is the
key.
primary key for the table task.
Okay.
Important key.
Yes. You could actually, for primary key, you could for instance have the title. It's not a good idea because you need to make sure that titles are unique or you're going to get in trouble. But so usually people make it an integer. Okay, so I'm going to execute this and hopefully it will click on some lights.
But you didn't explain the other one.
Wait a second. So you see on your results that you have like this, for instance, become a billionaire. And you have all the columns from the task table, and then you have the status ID thingy user ID. This is still from the task table, and then you have again IDs and the name, and this ID and name are already from the status table. And you see that the name is always done and the ID is always 3 because I selected only tasks that have a done thing. If I remove this, what you see is like everything. It's just like I have like what 35 tasks, which is basically almost all the tasks and probably some repeated. No, it's all the tasks, just ordered in a weird way. So you see that for each task there's like the status name there, not started, in progress, or done. And apparently this is ordered by status name. I could change this, order by task.id. And now it would be ordered by task.id, and you still see everything in there, all the status for each task.
Sorry, I didn't get
Which part?
all
The thing. Okay. So I'm selecting everything, every column from the table task, joined with status table.
Okay.
And the condition is that the status ID from the table task is the same as the ID in the table status.
What is the status ID? It was the unique ID that
The status.id is
this
this.
one.
Okay.
And the task.status ID is this.
So the part we specify in the on is what checks that those two match.
Yep. So like if you look here at status ID and then at this ID that comes from the table status, it's always the same, like 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2 again, 2, 2 again, 3, 3. Like it's always the same. Did this make sense?
You cannot say it's like a if statement if that is true, print it back. Compare this status with the status ID on the status table.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're
you could say
doing
it's like an if
the status ID on the task table. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If it and associated join it with the status the ID of the status table. Okay. So if it's one, it give you I don't know what was which one the ID one on the status table was
The ID one was
in progress.
not started.
Not started.
Yep.
And the second one is associated with in progress, and the third one is done.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything in terms of but just to associated to ID.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's what it was?
Yep. That's what those IDs are for.
Oh man, how you doing, man? You doing good?
Yeah.
Okay, one
So-
more second to greet for my boy here.
I'm going
Good job,
to.
man. Happy to see you again.
So now I'm going to just check the users, and I'm going to say that I want to see all the tasks that are assigned to Pablo Kisby, let's say. So I'm going to do another query, quite similar, but now I'm joining different tables, and you'll see it in a second. So I'm going to select everything, all the columns, and I'm going to select those columns from the table task, because I need to see all the tasks assigned to this user. So I'm also joining this task table with the user table. And again, I have to use the on part.
Task
So-
name.
Task.name. What should I write on the
Well,
on
what
this
you want
on?
to do?
So I want to join the table user and the table task.
Okay.
Can
But
you show me the,
by what?
the status ID?
That's what I'm asking you.
Okay, so you
By
want
what?
Pablo Kisby?
So I want to get all the tasks that are assigned to Pablo Kisby.
Okay.
But first I need to join the tables.
Okay.
And my question
By
to
ID.
you right
Because
now.
are unique. The ID are unique.
So what do I write there?
Task ID.
Status dot. Status.
That's user ID. What it was? I
Can
don't
you show me
remember.
what is the status ID in the table?
Status ID. Status ID. I'm so sorry.
Status ID, but status ID is joining with like
Yeah.
That's for
status.
this one. Yeah.
User ID.
Ah, okay.
I
I like
forgot
that
the column
better.
that the task has.
And now what?
User. I don't know what they have. User ID. User.id.
Okay. And now I'll say where user dot name equals.
Pablo.
Hopefully I will not misspell it. But if I'm afraid of misspelling, I could just say like use the like thing again. Well, if I misspell a lot, it will not save me, but I'm just okay. Let's imagine that could be a lot of spaces before, after, in between, or not, and I don't really care about that. And if I execute this, I see that there's like 4 tasks assigned to Pablo Kisby. And yeah, and that's it. So let me think of another one.
You could also, with the select star, you could also say, instead of just star, you could say task.star, I think, to just get all the columns in the task.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and I don't see the user. But
What's different from saying select task dot star compared to select star from task?
If it's just star, then you get both tables combined. So you just get a lot more columns.
All the way. Okay, so now you only get the tables that are in task.
all the
It's same
columns
thing.
in the task.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's
from-
the same
yeah.
thing, isn't it?
Before you would get all the columns from.
You
task
don't see the
from all
usernames.
columns from user. So if
Yeah.
user had another, I don't know what this user had, username and.
Yeah, name, email, and
Okay,
phone.
so if you say task dot star, you don't get email.
Yeah. So if we do this, then we get, but this is repeated, so, and we just use it to search for the name, so we probably wouldn't use it in the application.
Excuse me. Can you execute this or select start from task join user? Just this.
Okay.
Without the on
I
part.
think maybe it's helpful for others. Not without any where.
No, where?
Can
It
you
is 100
In the
miles,
last
yes.
line, go
No.
up, go down.
without the where?
without
Oh
the-
god. No, let's leave the where, because just like can you
It's a lot of.
if you tell me what happened here, I'll delete the where and show you what happens.
No, it happened that it's not unique. I mean, the ID is not equal.
What do you think happened there? Can you explain it?
Um,
I can tell you that
yeah,
there's
that they are not joining on the right title of the, I don't know, movie or whatever is it. Pablo before we do got me the unique associated title that Pablo had. Okay, now we just print all the titles and we join them with Pablo.
Exactly. That's yeah. So we have all the tasks here. Like if you look at the IDs, it goes up to 35, which is the tasks we have here, and you always see Pablo there. And if you look at the user ID and then the ID that comes from the user table, they don't match. You have like 1, 3, 6, 3.
Just join
instead of like all threes.
But I was asking before, you made select task that. When you do that, you access the columns of that table.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you do that asterisk. So you don't need from task anymore.
Say that again.
You always need a from part.
Because when you do from
Excuse
task,
Can you
you're
show
asking
me
him
which,
to give
which
you
was
from task
the unique ID for each
the
person?
columns, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're in the SQL specification, you always need the from part, even though it's repeated.
But what is the difference between those and these
It does
tasks?
if you're joining,
ID
because then you have
and
multiple
It's the
tables.
same, but this is for task. This is for user.
Okay.
This
No,
is-
no. I want to know which one is the unique ID for each person.
I will be the one to look at.
I don't know how
I
to
mean,
ask the question.
Then you do, like if you do select, I'll just do this. Select all from user. You see the IDs there.
Okay.
associated in there.
But when you are choosing from the task table or the other table, you will refer to this ID or where do you refer it?
I don't want to know those IDs. I could
cannot
select-
understand it because you know I don't know.
So I could select, like another way without using the joins, if I wanted to know all the tasks assigned to Pablo Kisby, would be to say select from task where user ID equals 3, and I get the same results. But I don't want to have to go to the database, figure out what the ID is for that user, and then do another query with the user ID like that.
Isn't it that because in every table the ID is referred to the same one, like in the user, the number one ID number one is referred to the ID number one on the task table.
For the user ID, yes.
Yeah, user ID.
Yes.
Or
So right now I did this. Okay, now I need to put again this thing. User task that user ID equals user.id. I think that was the thing. And yeah, I got all these tasks for Pablo Kisby. The other way I could do this would be select all from task where user ID equals 3. But that means I need to know the ID of Pablo Kisby to do this query. So at some point I have to do one query to find out the ID, and then I have to do a second query to actually get the tasks assigned to him. And I don't get any information about his email or anything. I need to have it stored from the previous query.
No, hold on. The last thing that you have brought. Okay. This part is not related of what you have written before.
So what I'm trying to say
Once
is,
you do semicolon, it's finished.
yes.
So it's not related to.
So
That's it.
I'm just executing these lines.
Okay, so that's what you're running.
Yes.
So yeah, because if you do user ID equal 3 on the task table, you don't know who is related to.
No, I don't know the name here. Like
Yeah,
I
you have to join it to see who is related to.
like I would have to like do a query first on the user table to find out that Pablo has user ID 3,
Yeah.
and then I will make a second query to get the tasks that are assigned to the user ID 3.
So you have to join the two tables in order to get.
It all at once? Yes, I need to join
Yeah.
the two tables.
So imagine you have on the website you have a search field and you want to search for the tasks for a specific user's name, then you would need to join in order to search by name instead of ID.
Yeah. So can you now, let's do another query together. So now you tell me, what should I write to get all the tasks that are in progress? And I want to know the title of the tasks that have a status name in progress.
So first of all, we have to know the ID related to the status that you want to in progress status.
No. I want to only use the status name. I don't care about the ID.
Yeah. Okay. We have to know it. So select everything
First we should join it.
from status. From status.
No, I'm telling you, I want the status name to be in progress.
Okay. Select from status.
That's okay. No, almost there. So we have the tasks. We have the tasks. That's this table.
Can you do this step by step?
And now I want to know which tasks have a status name in progress. So I know the name of the status. I know that's in progress. And now I want all the tasks that have that.
Okay. Easy. Swear to God, easy. I'll do it. Hold on. Select. Okay. From task. Okay. Join.
Can you please everyone do it, then you explain it, because maybe he get it but I didn't get it.
We'll do
I
an
didn't get
exercise
it.
afterwards also. So this is just a step before throwing you guys into the jungle alone.
Status. Join status.
Oh, status. Sorry.
On. Task. Dot name. That user. That status ID. ID equal. Status. Dot name.
Dot ID.
Dot ID.
No, let me write name. How do you think that matches?
I don't remember the. Yeah, that ID. That ID.
Where?
Yeah. Okay.
Where?
Where?
Status.
Status.
Point name.
Dot name.
Status dot name
Equal. In progress.
in progress.
Guys, ready to hack nada? We got you. Huh?
Everybody gets it except you.
Are you ready?
Let's see if it works.
I'm guessing
I
it might not work actually. Or it is. Okay. Perfect. The name was actually in progress. Okay, so you have plenty of tasks in progress. You have like 15 tasks. Jesus, I cannot read it.
But when I select all from the status, there is just 3%.
Because you're not selecting from status alone. You're selecting from the task joined with status. Like you basically can. So if I didn't have this, well, if I say that I'm joining them by the status ID, you see that there's all the tasks. Each row is a task, and then there's the status ID is the same as the ID from the status table, and then you see the name for status.
In fact, what we say right after on is about the keyword and primary key.
Yes.
One of them is primary key in the other one. So we should introduce that the key, primary key and foreign key is connected to each other.
Yes.
And after that it's watch.
That's a very good point. In the on part, you always want one of them is the primary key, and the other one is the foreign key.
Yep. And it's like the ones that are associated.
Yeah.
Like if I did this for like user.id,
it doesn't understand that.
It will probably crash because I'm not even selecting anything from user.
Yeah.
So like
or if you did user underscore ID.
Yeah. So that's actually
it would mess it up.
Yeah.
In fact, the primary and foreign key is a very important role in join.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because of that.
So this is actually really bad, like because I'm pretty sure if you do this, you get a result. It's just like
Yeah,
crap.
just the wrong result.
Like now I got
Yeah.
this, like, okay, the status ID is actually 331, but then like from the status table I'm getting 2s.
Yeah, but up to you that you create the table to initialize the name of the column related to the status. Otherwise,
Yes, it was when we created the table. Exactly, good point. So when we created the task table, you remember there was this constraint, right?
because otherwise you will not see the error and we see normal, but
No.
in reality it's an error.
Which is actually even worse because you get the result, so you're like, this should be fine, but it's not good. It's not what you should get.
What I'm asking is if you invert the two, I know that equal is okay, but if you do on status ID equal task status ID,
Good question.
Status ID equals task.
is that you
Yeah,
need
just
you
flip
need
them
the
around.
first one because hold on 1 second before you execute it. What I was thinking that because the spider is not from task, so we read task that something before. Otherwise, it will give you an error before finish the entire statement.
Sorry, say that again.
Okay. Well, I was thinking that the program read, the line, the statement from the beginning to the end. As soon as it finds an error, it's like an interpreter. For every place, it gives you an error. It doesn't compile everything and then give you an error.
It does.
It gives you,
because it's,
it give you an error. When it finds an error, it stops. It crashes everything. So it tells you there is an error now.
Listen to him.
Because this is not an imperative language, it's a declarative. So it reads everything and then tries to figure out what to do.
Okay.
So it's only after it has read
So could
everything.
you execute it now?
Actually, remember this? Like, if it was like step by step, in the select, it doesn't know what's task.
Yeah, good point.
Could you take off the stack?
So let's run this.
Yeah, run it.
I'm pretty sure it gives you the same results.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
The
Status
ordering
ID
doesn't
and
matter.
then.
It's
Okay, so now a quick exercise, or maybe not so quick, but it's good for you to think about these things. I want, let me see all the usernames this time. So I want you guys to find all the tasks that are assigned to Adam Smith.
All the tasks assigned to
Adam Smith. And I want you to only use the username to find that. You don't use the IDs.
Don't cheat and
No
use the
cheating.
IDs.
Actually, let me change that. So, yep, I want all the tasks assigned to Adam Smith. That's it. That's what I want. So I'll leave you which query? I'll leave this query. You can get inspiration from here. The other is too similar.
You want all the tasks?
Assigned to Adam Smith.
So we should join the user and task, then
Yes.
use the where to find the Adam Smith. Yes.
I think so.
Sounds about right.
Yes, yes.
Try it out.
Adam
Do you think we can do the count stuff?
Yeah, the
after
counts.
this? Just quickly, maybe.
And there's more for, like, the other day I was talking to Benjamin and like, yeah, there's also the idea that they should teach themselves. So you can leave a few things out and that they have to Google
Okay,
it
so that's okay.
or ask, but at least the count I think so too. Because it's the aggregate stuff and
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
trivial. use percent sign. They're like they match anything,
Okay.
but you need to use like instead of the equals. That's
Okay.
all. Because like that you're really looking for something with those
Yeah.
percent signs.
Should we like check the thing on here afterwards, or just go out and see if everyone got it? Maybe just ask one to set it correctly.
Can you share the photo of the database?
Oh, sure.
It's in the repository. I think the link was posted on Slack. Yeah.
Yes.
What was the name of this?
Yeah, to run that.
You write it before or after?
I didn't check it.
Someone will do like.
Yeah, I didn't check it. I just like looked at it.
Where it's first, yeah, the column and then like.
Like this, yeah?
No, before the string. So it's where column name and then like and then something.
Okay.
A string.
If you want to
You have an equal sign. I'll okay. You have an equal sign, so like is instead of
This is right, yes. Select
Exactly.
from the user, join task on the user ID equal to task user.
now you got a lot
That
of
is right.
tasks.
Yes.
Okay.
Very well.
And you can see
Where
there's a
user.name equal to this person.
Actually, so
but the user
that
name,
percent
the
sign,
user IDs
if you
here
match
are
anything,
not matching. So you're missing something.
Yeah,
after
no.
the Smith, you have
We cannot use the ID.
you can have spaces, you can have
No,
other
but,
names,
but
equals
you,
to whatever
you're missing
results.
something on the
The
join.
thing is, you need to use that with the like.
Oh,
That's fine. That's right. With the whoops.
without this.
I'm just making a mess.
Yeah, but we cannot use the ID.
No, that's not what she meant. She just meant that you couldn't write where user.id equals 12.
Okay.
So it's totally perfect.
When I said don't use the IDs, I just meant don't use the IDs on the where part. Like where user.id something.
Yeah.
You need to use them on the join. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Because I
You
didn't
actually
understand.
you need that. Otherwise you cannot get it.
It's actually right. I mean, I've seen like, for instance, they did it in a way that is wrong, but still returns just an empty result. That's just a slight detail that was There's nothing. I chose the user randomly, and that user has no task. But let me see yours. Yeah,
You're
yours
not
is
getting
fine.
there
Like
must
for
be something
instance,
in
this decimal sign,
the
like,
where
and the equal sign is like for the percent sign.
with the where part, the like because you have a percent before add-on.
And they're fine there.
So try it. Yeah, you can just do equals.
It is
Let me just a second.
نکنم تو تست بودم
اصلا این هیچ تسک انجام هیچ وظیفه‌ای
پس خیلی درست نوشتم
درست
فهمیدم
It's not easy, come on.
حالا
See,
فهمیدی این چی شده؟
everything
آره
is easy
ببین
for
گوش
you.
بدم
No, I didn't.
میگه
But
اول میگه سلکت کن
Yeah, because Alan Smith is
تمام
a
یوزر ها و تسکا رو
Oh.
Yeah, that's what. Sorry, I chose the name randomly and
توی یه مشکل
Then try Donald Duck instead.
But that's the problem because we never know. We have to make a position.
Try Donald Duck. instead of Adam Smith.
وقتی که میخواد جوین کنی
Donald Duck. Yeah, that was a tricky one. I'm sorry. It wasn't that hard.
پس اینش اینا باید عوضش بکنم
Okay, start Pablo.
Okay.
پس میشه
Pablo Kisby. I mean, that has to show something.
هر اسمی
Yeah.
بعد
That's the one
توی
we
یه قسمتی داریم یه ستون داریم
Pablo
Yeah, so we
Kisby.
did when there were more Pablos we also get there, which is totally fine.
حالا به ما اینو نشون بده اسم این
در حقیقت این یکی
Yeah. There you go.
But like it doesn't work anyway. For one letter.
Yeah, you have to spell it the right way.
What the hell is if we use equal or like it doesn't
But you can also just instead of writing the whole entry, you can just say Pablo. If you know the first name, it still works.
I know about Pablo is like this.
Yeah, but that's because that's some hard names. That's pretty difficult actually. So Google does something quite different when they search.
oh no
This works for you.
No, I can understand both.
but the user ID is fine
Yeah.
in task table
Yes.
But then, yeah,
but
that's-
you
I mean,
is
you
related
can
to
say that
the
the
this
name here,
ID
well,
in the user.
I don't think
ID
you need to say
is
the name there is a primary
user
key.
ID is foreign key and
But
the
it's
connect user.
weird.
But then you are
It's like
designing
if
the
you
database. So we have to give this user ID to everyone.
It's like
Yeah.
the method start with
No,
you have to give wait,
What? You have to come here.
Why does the task have a user
I
ID?
guess it is this one. Like you have the status name. And you have the
Because
status name as a foreign key.
why it has to have a status ID or user
And then
ID?
especially if it's
No, why does the tasks table have a user ID instead of the? No wait. So, oh yeah, of course. No wait. No.
And like
the user ID is the end.
This is the foreign keys for the relations.
So why it
I'm
should
not
have
sure though what
it should
happens.
have it?
It's not the
Why
No,
it
no,
should
no,
have
this
it?
is-
There are duplicates.
Yeah, but this is really bad. You can't have this. This does not work. What if a task has? Oh, a task can only belong to one user. Yeah. Okay, that's it.
And
Okay,
this
fine.
is on-
Okay.
So it's a one to
So if this is like
ID numbers because
like we have a shared to-do list in here of tasks. Somebody needs to go get the coffee. Somebody needs to get bread for lunch, and only one person does like each task. So when you create a task, when you say, okay, who makes coffee, you have to assign a person to this. So Bada gets the coffee. Bada, right? So when you create a new task, you have to also tell who's doing the task. That's why the task has a user ID.
So every task can have two ID?
No, only one. In this example.
Alright, so everyone got the query?
okay.
Another challenge.
So you seem to be pros on this. I'm just going to say something that I saw in a few people. Like, okay, when I was with Pablo Kisby task somewhere here, come on, let's go that fast. I was using these percent signs that will match anything that comes before Pablo, anything in between Pablo and Kisby, and anything after Kisby.
It doesn't make sense anyway, you know, because if you write, we were discussing about that, because if you write Casby instead of Kisby, it will not give you anything.
True. What if I want all the Pablos?
Nah, do Pablo Kisby.
What if I add two, like, if I mess up and I put two empty spaces in between Pablo and Kisby?
Yeah, you will look on Pablo.
No, like if I was to do like this and I have in the database it's two spaces instead of one, or let me do the other way around. I messed up here, two spaces. Let's see what I get. empty.
Doesn't matter.
Because nothing is related to that way of writing.
Exactly. You're right. It doesn't like too much. It was just more to say like you can.
Was discussing having an argument.
Anyways, that's not my point. My point is like I saw some people using an equal sign here, and if you use an equal sign, it will actually be looking for the percent signs in the text. So it will.
So it's a literal.
Because equal is that time.
So you don't want it to be like really equal. You want it to the username to be like. It's almost like that. And also like if you want to, I think it's like this actually. If you're afraid that someone messed up and put an E there, like it will match any character between the K and the S.
But only one character.
But only one character. This is only one character.
But percent means 0, 1, 2, 3 or more.
Percent is like anything.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a regular expression.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, if you know regular expressions.
And are we going to learn how we can connect this information to the website or the app?
That's lesson 3.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to do hosts actually. It will be a local host. Anyway, where was I going? Counts. Let's say you want to know how many users you have in your database. So with a bit of luck I actually remember the syntax. And it's something like this. You select, oh Jesus Christ, what the heck is happening? Count, stop auto-completing. And I'm going to count all the IDs. Okay, this is getting annoying. From the table user.
35.
35 users?
Well, I think so.
Huh? Okay. Well,
Oh,
there's 35 tasks though.
Oh,
I think that's how you got it.
Why, what happened?
So I want to know how many users are there in my user table.
But there is. Yeah.
But there was more.
No, that's the task.
If I do the task, that need to it gives me 35.
But you know, you see, if you go field types.
Okay.
What the heck, man?
Push on it. No, go down. I think you don't have it. Query stuff. You see how many.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Is on the rows that you have row exterminated 35.
But that is not that's not accessible from Node, for example. You only have the results when you are using it in a programming setting.
But if you are the one that writing the database, so you don't care about you already know.
You might be doing both, and you are not going to use this actually. Or maybe not. Who knows? Anyways, so there's this count function that you can use to count stuff. In this case, it's quite simple. I'm counting all the IDs in the task table, and I'm counting IDs for a reason, because I know that the IDs are unique. So there's no chance I'm going to count the same name twice.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it would happen in this case because I'm just really getting everything. But in some other cases, it's probably it can happen.
Actually, in the search bar, we are using this kind of things. Yes, in a website, there is a search bar, and when you are searching some person or something, or you want to sort it.
Or like you go to Amazon and you look for a product, it's probably looking into the name of the product in some table on a database. So yeah. Okay. That's a good one.
You don't say about insert or digits. You don't say about insert or digits.
Next week.
Next week.
But names are more unique than ID, isn't it?
Not necessarily. If you Google my name, you find quite a lot of people with my name.
But your name is unique. Really.
Yeah, maybe yours is. Mine isn't.
My mom told me you are the unique one.
All the moms say to the children exactly the same.
Okay, so if I want to count, for instance, again going a bit back to, if I want to count all the tasks assigned to Pablo, so I'll do again the join user where user.id equals task.user ID where user.name like Pablo. And hopefully this works, but apparently not.
ID
Column
is
ID
ambiguous.
is ambiguous. Where did I use it?
Count.
Okay, that was a nice error. So what's
what
happening to
happened?
my
What
laptop?
Well, you asking to count ID.
They have to.
Wait a second. Oh, okay. Something weird. Anyways. Yeah, it's counting IDs.
So there is no name.
Wait a sec. Like, it's giving me an error. Column ID in field list is ambiguous. What do you think that is?
What?
Yeah, sorry, you cannot really read that.
Column ID. Hold on. Column ID in field list. Because count ID had give you a ratio on a list. No.
It will just give you a number. It's counting how many tasks are assigned to Pablo.
Maybe the Pablo is not in the list. No.
But count ID give you only the
number of
number.
people.
Yes, and that's fine. But it's counting IDs and it doesn't know how to count them. That's basically it.
Because it's referred to which ID, because both table have ID.
Bingo.
Yes. That's why I've been writing user.id, task.user.id, user.name to avoid
Both
any
to have
issues. Like
You should
if I have the name both in user and task, it like which one am I referring to? And here it's exactly what's happening. There's ID both in the user table and the task table, and it's just
So
like.
you have to select it to make. Oh, okay.
So if I say task ID, I get 4, and if I say user.id, probably get 1.
Okay.
No? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I
because
see.
it's the
Yeah, there's still 4 tasks. If I... Yep. I guess I'd have to count only unique IDs to get only 1.
Yeah.
That's... I'm not going there 15 minutes to be honest.
Yeah, but anyway, count is what's known as an aggregate function. So that means that you only get one result. It aggregates together one result for you. And there's a couple of other functions as well. You can do an average and a sum and a min and a max, so for numbers and dates too, I guess.
Maybe, yeah.
Delete.
Next week.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to show you another aggregate function because you need it for the homework and it's not as straightforward. So imagine that I want to group my how am I going to do this? So I want to let me check the homework because I don't want to do the query from the homework.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Last one.
I was going to do one of them. I don't want to.
Yeah, it's difficult to not.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a lot.
Mm.
Uh,
I'm actually not sure what a good example would be.
What's the
we want to use the group by, but we don't want to do the query from the homework.
you could group by user ID in the task to see all the tasks that belong to all group.
You can group by status because we have 3 status.
Homework. That's exactly the problem. Like grouping by status is the logical thing to do here.
Because the homework is on the same table.
Yeah, it's the same database, and it's exactly grouping by status. Can we group by like only words in the title?
Can you explain what do you mean by group the people?
Okay, so let's say like we all have like names, right?
Okay.
And they start with a given letter. So we could like group by names that start with an A or with a B
Okay.
or with a C, and we could probably like each group of people, like each group with their names would start with the same letter.
Okay.
So like I don't know, but like let's imagine Badr and me would be in one group. We're not, because I mean the B and the A don't go anywhere.
Okay, I got it.
But
I
that's the idea.
I got it.
Could we count the tasks per user? Is that
Yeah, good, thanks.
so? If we just start by counting all the tasks, then we can do from there.
So we'll count how many tasks each user has. That's what we're going to do.
How many tasks each user has?
So count task.id, join again the tables, and then group by
By task. No, by
what do you think we'll be grouping by?
Username like and only the initial. We have done it. P.
Wait a second. We have, so going back to the diagram, we have the table, we have user, we have tasks, and we want to know how many tasks each user is assigned to. So for instance, Pablo has 3 tasks and Adam Smith had 0. And we just want to see like the name of the users, how many tasks do they have.
So you have to join the user and task together.
Yes.
Then I don't know, search or group it by the task. I don't know if there is just a second.
Okay.
So what do you think
Can
we'll be
you
grouping
do
by?
Status
like
ID.
Status?
Now you should use another key.
Yeah.
The status.
No. Because I want to see how many tasks a user is assigned to. So I want to see something like Pablo is assigned to 4 tasks. Adam
we
Smith,
don't care about
0.
the status. In
Yeah,
this example.
okay. Status.
Okay.
So I'm guessing it's user.id.
User.id.
Because I want like all the tasks, I want to count all the tasks that are connected to a given user ID. So let's see how that goes.
So you have to sort it by task
So let's see,
ID.
Pablo.
Because every task
So you're not sure that
has an ID.
It doesn't matter. The sorting is. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I could sort this.
Pablo should be 3 instead of 4.
No, Pablo has 4.
Excuse me.
4.
I can run this again. Like,
Yeah.
Pablo has 4 tasks, and Adam Smith has 0. So where's Adam? It doesn't even show. Zeros apparently don't show.
Oh, it shows, for example.
Yeah, I
how
think
much-
it's because it's an inner join.
And Adam Smith is 0.
Right.
What?
So like Adam Smith has 0 tasks assigned.
So it doesn't show.
It doesn't show, and that's because like there's different types of joins, and I didn't say anything about that here. But what happens is that the most common one is the inner join, and like it only matches rows in the tables that like there's something on both sides.
That both have to be used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's nothing, in this case it's matching like user ID with ID on the user. Like if there's nothing on the other side, like Adam Smith Adam Smith had a ID in the table user, but no user ID on the table task.
So this one is null.
So it doesn't match. It's just like, okay, Adam Smith is not matching with anything. We don't care about him.
Actually, one on one side is null, so equals is none.
Exactly.
So if we wanted to count the ones, get the zeros also, we would have to use a left join instead.
Yep.
But I guess maybe we.
There are some slides in the repository, so you can look into them. The most common one is definitely this join, this inner join. But yeah, there's these SQL joins. And there's some examples, so you can play around with it, do the queries yourself, and see what comes up. And okay, there's 10 minutes left. I still want to show you the min and the max at least, but did this make any sense?
No,
Yeah.
Group by means you just like group them.
And you decide on what?
I have a question. Is that possible to write how you call select from group by method? You call it method? What do you call it?
Oh, I never know those things.
I think you just call them keywords or
Statements.
yeah.
Which one?
Okay.
What do you call to this, like select and from and where?
Capital
Sorry.
word.
Like, no, you mean like select?
Yeah, method. They call
by-
method. I don't know.
It's statement.
Statement.
It's
Okay.
a SQL statement.
Statement. Okay. The
Yeah.
question is, can you write choose statement like group by where something?
Yes, you can. Like
Group by where user ID equal.
okay, let me just check this out. So where user dot name, like, let's see if this works. I'm actually not too sure.
I don't think you can put where after group. If that's the case.
But you should be able to put it before though.
Yeah, where comes
Yeah, before, yeah.
So it has a specific
the sort of
order. Yeah.
Oh, so there is an order. So you have to
Yeah.
select should be the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then from should be the second one.
Yes, there's an order.
specified.
Yes.
You can read this order. It's very.
It's all in the documentation.
Okay, so what I'm doing here. Oh, I forgot it. Is I'm again selecting like the usernames and counting the task IDs, again joining the tables, but then I only want usernames that are like Pablo or Rosie. And then from that I'm grouping by the user ID. And when I do that, like the difference from before is that I only see the tasks for Pablo and Rosie. I don't see everything like before.
Yeah, but the question probably we can see the question. Like where group by. That's it. Nothing between them.
No.
You cannot do that.
No. When you use where, you have to have something that makes sense afterwards. Otherwise, you just delete this. That's okay. You'll get all the users and how many tasks.
And how we should upload our homework on the GitHub?
Oh,
we
it's
should
good question.
get the file and upload it, or
I think there's this new
Yes.
repository that Benjamin has put up for specifically for homework. So you need to fork that, I guess, or
No, you already have it.
So this means if
Yeah.
you make a document like this,
Yep.
it's just one file called .sql.
Yep, it will be
And then
one
you
file.
Just upload that document to GitHub.
Yeah.
That's
In
it.
the-
Then
Your
they open it
week
from
one
the-
in
from
databases.
their machine.
Yeah, so they can open the document, they can run your code and so forth.
Yep.
Okay, yes.
So otherwise you do copy and paste on Slack. That's another thing that you can do.
You can, but you guys need to
No,
use
you use the
GitHub.
repository.
Yeah.
It's just like you always do.
It's
And
One
we
file.
have to use the fork, or we have to clone the.
Like you always do.
You already have
What
I guess
you
you
do-
already have
Yeah.
it.
No, in the beginning we forked it, but after a couple of weeks,
changed it?
Benjamin he said,
We
Yeah,
did
do what
it
Benjamin
again. We
said
did it
last.
again. Remember?
yes, we clone it, but in the beginning we forked it.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
I'm not-
Okay,
Do
true.
whatever
That's true.
Benjamin said last.
Anyways, whatever he said, you just
No,
do
we
that.
spoke that and then we cloned it.
Uh,
We didn't create a new
Just post the link for the homework on Slack.
Yeah.
And now let me show you the last thing. If you want to get like the task that was created most recently, one thing that you can use is this min function.
Sorry, what was your question?
I want to get the task that was created most recently.
So you need the date, the upgrade date. Yes?
I don't want to upgrade anything. I only want to get the task that was created most recently. So I guess I want like the. I have like. Okay, this is going to be a bit too fast. Please bear with me. So if I select all from tasks, I see that there's a created column that has a date and a time. And if I want to see which task was created last, like most recently, I could just there's two ways to do that actually. You could do a source and then use the limits to get just one. That's good thinking, yeah. Or there's this function that's min or max. In this case, it would be max because I want like the one with higher date if I was ordering it.
Yeah, because the date is count by the day. How many days from the beginning to that so is one number.
Yeah.
You don't get the. She doesn't get the.
I'm pretty sure I know what you mean, but in here you have proper dates. You don't have like the time from 1970 something.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. No, I don't have that here. So where was I? From task. And let's see what it should be, just to make sure it's actually right. So we should get this look at apartments, I guess. Because that was in October 2017. Yeah. So, let's see. Yep, there it is. And, but maybe I want to see what's the task title. What? Oh, no. I run everything, yes. Or no, there's an hub. What?
Yes.
So the thing is max is an aggregated function. So I cannot really see all the columns as usual. It's kind of annoying. I can only see the whatever is the output of this max function. So yeah, if I run it without anything, it's fine. It just show me what was which is the task with the highest date.
Well, you don't see
but I cannot see anything else. So I need to know what I'm doing. Super annoying.
Otherwise you can just make it again.
Omit's suggestion was actually better in the sense that if you do with the limits and the order by, you could actually see the task name. So select task.name from task order by created limit 1, and that should be descending. So limit 1 you only see one result. You only see one row. Why am I running it? What the heck is happening?
There is no name in that title.
Fair enough. So then I see, okay, I also
you have to join.
I need to join. What do I need to join?
So you see see the name of the person that
in the task table you have the created.
I don't want to see the name now. I just wanted to see the task that was created last.
What does it mean, this limit 1?
It's like, okay, all I did was like select titles and creators from the task table, and I said order by created, and I said descending order. And if I run this, I get everything.
Yes.
So when I did the limit, I said I just want the first result.
No, the first task.
The first task, first result. So out of all these, I just want the first.
Okay.
That's all. But yeah, the other way to do, if I really just want to say what is the date of the latest, when the latest, what is the date that was like, it's the highest one in each task that was created, like when was the last task created, for instance. I think this would be the question. So I have a list of tasks and I want to know when was the last one created. And that's all. I don't want to know which task was. I only care about, okay, it was created yesterday. That's all I care about. Then I could use this max. I guess this is most useful when you're like storing prices maybe or stuff like that.
The highest price.
You can use alias or alias. Give a name, for example, for max.
Yeah, you can say max created as latest date or something.
Yeah.
You can say as and then give it a name.
Yep.
Alright.
And it's for?
We will do some of these weeks how to create a database inside.
Yes! Next week.
The class.
Next week you'll be doing that. Now we do the homework, you do all the queries and do them right, and you'll be happy and ready to go on to more complicated stuff. And this is
So
stuff
next
as
week, all the joins and all that, it's just gonna be second nature.
Honestly, it's easier than Node.js.
it might be, yes.
Good to
Yeah. We hear that you guys come here to catch your breath and then go on to React.
Oh!
A bit.
How many weeks we have to study the SQL?
It's 3.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's pretty small.
So
Yeah.
for this week and next week.
No, and the one after.
Okay, so 3 weeks in total.
And this time we're trying to do some MongoDB in the last one, so it's a little bit more intense. We're not sure we can get there, but let's see.
It could be helpful because now we are learning about the MongoDB. He was teaching me.
Yes, so
I'm lucky that I have this.
Well, yeah, he said, no, but I'm going to bring him at her. He wasn't here. Yeah.
and if you have questions, ask.
No, but
Yeah.
my question
Please
is
ask on Slack.
Are you staying for graduation? Anyone staying?
What?
Is anyone staying for graduation of Class07?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, I mean,